late for an engagement, and death is a friend.
Everyone, need your attention, please. I'm gonna burn this place to the ground.
We don't sleep to dream, we sleep to build stamina. Energy to do our thing, get your camera. This show is about to begin, so sit down and buckle it in. Let's go! Yeah, baby! Welcome, my friends, to the one and only Popcast Unleashed. Every Friday at 10 a.m., every Monday at 10 a.m., every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. My name is Brian, one of your belabored hosts, and that is Shane. Hello, Shane. How are you doing today, my friend?
I'm a little bit tired. I stayed up late last night.
I'm a little tired. I'm a little wired.
I'm a little tired. I stayed up late last night to go watch a Jason Statham movie. Oh, may never do that again. But I'm sure there's a lot to talk about. Welcome to all of you beautiful people who showed up here on our channel at 10 a.m. this morning, which is our time slot.
Yes, and we're talking about The Beekeeper, the movie Shane just mentioned. A quick Beekeeper review. There's not much to talk about there. It's about as vapid as it could be.
Well, yeah.
Also, a little discussion about AI, specifically the Carlin AI that people are complaining about. And that brings up a larger discussion that we definitely need to speak about because people need to calm down. And fake news, or better yet, malicious news, incompetent news, ignorant news.
Oh, it all falls into the same category.
Take your pick.
Pick a word.
You're going to be really surprised. It's not just the mainstream media, folks. It's not just, what do they call it? The lamestream media. No.
What? Oh, that's the first time I've heard that one.
It's anyone who is afraid of losing power. That's what it is. And lastly, the new Star Trek movie. There's an announcement there. We got to talk about it. I know Shay and I were like, look, we don't want to talk about Star Trek unless there's something, good to talk about. This is not necessarily good, but it's also not necessarily bad, except for then you find out it's like a prequel, and there's a lot to unpack there. And I'm sorry to say, all you weekly weird heads out there, the ones that just love the weekly weird, no weekly weird today. There's too much to talk about. I want to make sure we fit it all in. And, I got a little message for you at the end that's just going to tie everything together. And I don't want to taint it with too many jokes at the end. And that's usually what the weekly weird is. So I'm skipping the weekly weird today. And it's okay. It'll be back. It's not going nowhere. We're back.
All right. Well, I didn't know we had weekly weird heads, but okay. I'll take it.
I don't know. What are they called? I guess people that really like the weekly weird.
I get it. Like, it's like you have these famous band. Like, I think the Tumbleweeds, the who is that? I can't remember the Wheelberries. They had Rolling Stone heads. Like, that makes sense. Beatle heads, not weekly weird heads. But
whatever.
All right.
Yeah, so we're gonna get started. Before we do, just in case you're new here, top left, right there, that is the stream hero, and it's real simple. If you want to be the stream hero, all you gotta do is donate, super chat, tip, memberships, etc., etc. What happens is that knocks that sucker down, and it takes the health off the base model, which is us, the Popcast. The Pop Culture Unleashed. And when you do, you take that place. And then someone can knock you down. And the great thing about it, thank you, whoever just gave money. The great thing about it is whoever is up there the longest gets our mystery shirt of the week.
Yes.
And as long as we get to $40 worth of super chats. And Michael Nemo just started the party by becoming a member of this channel. I think he's actually already a member of the other channel.
So becoming a member can knock points down. That's cool.
Yes, actually, becoming a member is worth 500 HP. It's the highest thing you can do to knock that down.
Interesting. Wow, I like how you did. That's motivation, bro.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go sign up.
Yeah, and I finally just fixed it, by the way, because the membership thing wasn't working before, and I found out last show we did. Hey, and listen, we do have a membership goal today, and
well, we got it.
No,
we hit our goal.
I know. It's not gonna be one. I'm gonna say 3 members.
Ooh, look,
Andrew,
it got met again.
Damn it! Like, come on, guys.
Oh, I like that.
So now we're up to 6. All right, 8 members. Let's go. 8 members. Thank you,
Listen, we're
Drew.
gonna get to the point. We're gonna get to the point soon where every viewer is a member. I love this. It's great.
As I was saying, and he pops it up. Thank you, Michael, and thank you, Drew. Drew D just gifted
Thanks,
5
guys.
pop culture memberships. If you guys notice, the name of this channel is now called Pop Culture Unleashed instead of Popcast. It was too confusing. I was using the term Prime membership and like Popcast Prime, and it just look at
It gets tough.
our main channel
I feel like I'm on Amazon. I
is
don't
the
know.
Popcast. We're the Popcast brothers. But this channel, the live channel, is Pop Culture Unleashed.
Yeah.
And thankfully, it has the same initials because all my folders are labeled PCU. So, okay, guys, let's rock and roll, dude.
Let's roll.
I want to jump right into this thing, and we're gonna be talking about the Beekeeper first. The Beekeeper. Shane, you want to explain what the Beekeeper is?
Yeah, Beekeeper is the new Jason Statham gonna kick your butt movie. And I was actually pretty excited about it. The premise of the movie is it's an hour and 45 minutes, so it's, you know, it had some juice to it. Like I'm thinking, okay, if it's going to be a really bad movie, it's going to be right at an hour and a half.
Right.
But because it's an hour and 45, I'm like, oh, there's hints of maybe some goodness here. Plus, I love the idea of hackers or shysters or people trying to steal old people's money getting their butts kicked.
Right.
And that's what this movie is basically about. You have Jason Statham, who is an actual beekeeper. Interesting. Staying at Felicia Rashad's place.
I feel like someone when they wrote them, sorry to cut you off. When they wrote this, they're like, all right, yeah, so it's a secret organization of like beekeepers. Gonna be like a whole thing about like keeping like the society safe and all that. But we should also make him an actual beekeeper. What do you think about that?
Well, that's yeah. So this does tie into the whole like people just aren't good at their jobs anymore stuff, and
that would be like a Navy SEAL leaving the Navy SEALs and becoming a professional like SEAL cosplay person or whatever, like
or like a
SEAL trainer,
Navy SEAL trainer, or SEAL trainer.
Like he trains SEALs at SeaWorld.
Right. I mean, let me tell you something about Jason Statham's character. He really fell in love with his job because after he was done with it, he decided to continue beekeeping. So, yeah. Listen, the first, let me talk. So anyways, the movie, basically you have, the mom from the Cosby Show. She's a sweet old lady who's, like running a charity foundation, and she's like, just, does good for other people.
Person.
And essentially Jason Statham. By the way, I know that Jason has a character name in this movie, but who gives a shit? It's Jason Statham. So we're just going to call him Jason Statham the whole time.
Yeah. That's like the same thing when they came out with that Fast and Furious spinoff, Hobbs and Shaw. I was like, what the fuck is Hobbs and Shaw?
What's a Hobbs? You just call him,
my daughter
Rock
was like,
and Statham.
My daughter had to tell me, like, it's the name of the characters in the movie. I'm like, oh, I didn't even know that. Which one's Hobbs and which one's Shaw?
Yeah.
It didn't matter to me. I see Jason Statham and The Rock. Like that's all I see.
Yeah, absolutely. So Jason Statham is essentially like leasing the back, like the back area of this woman's property where he keeps bees. And essentially, they have this sweet moment at the beginning where she's like, you take care of me, I take care of you. There's like, you can tell there's like a little bond here. So good job with that initial story creating. But then it goes into the scene where essentially the nice, sweet old lady, a thing pops up on her computer. We all have experience with this,
right?
Having something pop up on your computer saying, oh, your computer's in trouble, blah, blah, blah. Well, it's got a number. She's supposed to call it. She calls it.
You have a virus.
Yeah, you got a virus. Call it now or you're going to lose everything. Right. We've all been through this horror, although they don't usually have a phone number to call. But anyways, these guys.
I've seen that. I've seen the number that pops up on the malware.
Oh, got it. And old people just don't know
now, right?
It's really bad. Like the whole world, like right now, people really like attack geriatric people, and so this is like this felt like really good. So essentially, she takes, and they did a really great job of like taking us through the process of how she would get robbed. Like the first 30 minutes of this movie is actually really good. Like it's very the story setup, the way everything's done. I really like the way the first 30 minutes, and it feels good because essentially, they take all of her money and she commits suicide. Right. So then, of course, Jason Statham is not going to let that go down. We find out he's an actual like black ops off the book, and we find out that the Beekeeper is actually like outside of like the entire United States industrial complex. He doesn't exist at all. He has no boss.
Way more
basically.
juice than like the CIA, the FBI, any of the three agents,
Right.
lettered agencies. Like he's like the
Forget
top,
Jason Bourne.
Right.
Forget
Jason Bourne was a bitch.
all those guys.
to this
007. It doesn't matter. Like
and
literally, there's a
007
scene.
is literally just a geriatric no one compared to this person.
Well, Jeremy Irons has a scene later in this movie where he has a bunch of SEALs in a room, like the greatest fighters of the military can offer. And he's like, "You're all a bunch of pussies," and I'm like, "Whoa, did Jeremy Irons just say that?" So yeah, so it's very satisfying. Jason Statham essentially comes in and blows up this entire like call center where they're like stealing people's money, and it is very satisfying. The fighting scenes, the one thing I'll say about this movie, the fighting scenes are fantastic. If you like Jason Statham movies, you won't be disappointed by his characteristic destruction of all human beings. But that's about where it ends.
And it had the same style, the fighting and all that as John Wick. Like it had
yeah.
You
it was
can
like
see here, like in this frame from the trailer, like they had the same colors where it's like half the walls are blue, half the walls are like the very cyberpunk sort of aesthetic, same concept.
I would say this movie's like a Wish version of John Wick, kind of.
Or it's like John Wick 3.
Maybe that's a good possibility. And then what happens is we find out that Felicia Rashad's, and I keep calling her that because who cares what her character's name is. Her daughter shows up, of course, after she's committed suicide, and we find out she's an FBI agent. And what I learned quickly is that Emmy Raver Lampman, who plays Agent Verona Parker, is an absolutely terrible actress. So what happened is they had a scene after Jason Statham does his thing, and they sit down and they talk, and there's this sudden realization that, oh shit, I'm watching a B movie. Like the acting is so bad and horrible. And Jason's not an actor, like giving really good faces and kicking ass is what he's good at. Talking is not his thing. Right. Little bit of talking here and there.
It's like this is like an asylum movie, but with with famous actors.
Right.
So instead of you have like instead of Transformers, you have Transmorphers. So in this case, instead of John Wick, you have the Beekeeper.
Right. So, which is, I got to tell you. So we find out. We say, okay, so you've got your, typical. You got your check your box person. You got your. Obviously, this person wasn't hired. They spent all their money on Jason Statham. I'll just tell you that right now, because Josh Hutcherson, who's in this movie, isn't taking down a big payday.
Look at the logo for the Beekeepers.
But of course it is. But of course it is. So it's obvious. So we find out she's an FBI agent. And you're like, okay, cool. Okay, so this is going to be Statham's sidekick for the movie. He's going to be kicking ass, and she's going to be like quipping whatever she does. Come to find out, that's not the case at all. And I'm not going to ruin anything for you. But what I will tell you is that from this point on, the movie goes into kind of a nonsensical, doesn't really make any sense.
Yeah, no logic. No logic is applied to this story.
Yeah, the logic, the point of the characters, you're like, why would, and I'll give you a little spoiler. Why would she like try to help the people that just killed her mom? Like, didn't make any sense. Like there's things about this movie that just don't make any sense. So what I say is, if I'm really I got to the end of the movie, and if you saw the tweet that I put out, it was basically like, Jesus fucking Christ. What? Like, seriously, did David Ayers, did he make this movie really? Because
what's funny is, now you say it, the last act is like so illogical and nonsensical.
It's weird.
It makes me think that maybe just maybe it was like, things were cut out, and that's why we didn't get the whole story, which that happens to David Ayer a lot. We know that, right?
You're right. Suddenly after watching this movie, I'm not so sure I want an Ayer cut anymore.
I'm not so sure I believe him.
Right.
I was going back. I'm like, wait a minute. Do I like David Ayer? Like, I'm starting to think maybe I don't like David Ayer movies.
Has he made a movie that's any good?
I wasn't able to find one on the list that I cared about. By the way, this actress is from the Umbrella Corporation, where she was really good in that. And so
was she?
Yeah, she was great in that role. She played like She played one of the sisters. Well, like they're all family, but in like the adopted sense because they have the same father but different. It's a whole complicated thing, but they have like these powers because their father, who was sort of a monster, basically experimented on all these women and with his own seed, and he had all these kids, and most of them didn't come to term, but the few that did, he collected and adopted. And she was one of them, and her power was basically she can suggest to you something, and you would be very compelled to do it. It was good, very cool. She had a cool arc. She's a good actress, at least in that she was. In this movie, I did not see any of that, bro.
Something I think she must have realized that her character didn't make any sense, and because she ends up with this like partner, this other FBI agent who, on completely outside of any other like movie. Maybe their quipping makes sense in their relationship, but it serves no point to the whole thing. And they say very strange things. Like her partner's like, "Hey, I hear you're big into fires. Well, there's a fire at your mom's house that was just killed yesterday." I'm like, what? Her mom was just killed. Her mom died yesterday, dude. Really?
Bro, what?
What's going on here?
Inappropriate, man. What's your problem, dude?
And I think this movie might have been good if it was just like didn't take itself seriously. Like if it was gonna be like when we run into like the current Beekeeper, because Jason Statham, of course, is retired. Like the person looks like an LSD binged lunatic. Like it literally makes zero sense how they would allow this person to have power outside of the government. Like from the dyed blue hair to the crazy 6,000 round a minute caliber weapon that she's got in the back of a car. I don't know. It was just kind of weird.
It reminds me of like if you took one of those deranged TikTokers, leftist TikTokers that jump on like every couple hours to scream and yell about Donald Trump, and then gave her a gun.
Yeah,
that's pretty much what this is. Like it's just a deranged psychopath. She used to be on Tumblr before it was shut down. She went to Twitter, and then Elon Musk took over, and now she's on TikTok just screaming about her rights to her body or whatever, and how she doesn't need a man. And then someone gives her a weapon that has like 7,000 rounds, and this is what you get. Exactly that.
Yeah, like anytime you see somebody who enjoys getting their ass kicked is kind of weird. Like every time he'd punch her, she'd be like, "Ah!" Yeah. It was like somebody said, "Look, I want you to be like the Joker or something," but it was just really weird. Anyways, the movie ends up taking itself way too seriously at the end. There's like this weird, like, I don't know if they were like trying to recreate like Trump's situation, like how he was elected to office or something, because they kind of go that route. And it was kind of weird. At first, I'm like, "Oh, look, it's Hunter Biden." Like that's what I thought Josh Hutcherson was. I'm like, "Oh, that's interesting. Politically, okay, it's Hunter Biden. He's obviously
was he over there like
doing cocaine off of a."
He's over there like smoking like the plaster from the wall.
Right. Yeah. Just
spinning his penis around the camera. Yeah.
Complete imbecile things going on, but then it turns into like this twisted. So I don't know what the hell this movie was trying to do.
Hair. You smell nice.
If you want to see a movie where Jason Statham kicks a bunch of butt and you get a whole bunch of bee puns, do it. It can be fun in that element.
No, it was fun. But
I wouldn't say it was a good movie.
It was not gonna be okay. So let's take it from the guy who likes fun movies, right? Like I like movies that are stupid popcorn, entertainment. Like I like Fast X. I liked how stupid it was and how ridiculously high octane, silly, physics defying nonsense it was. This didn't go so far that it didn't get ridiculous enough for me to enjoy it on that level, and it wasn't a good movie. So it was almost like you had to like go more over the top for me to discount the fact that it's a bad movie and really enjoy it the way I do with Fast. Yeah. And it just didn't get there. So yeah, I like what you said. It's like a B movie. It's like an asylum version of Fast and Furious or John Wick.
Yeah, let me give you a visual example of what I think about this movie. I was able to see two movies last night. The very first movies of 2024 I've been able to go see. And I went ahead and put them on the list for this year's movies real quick. Brian, I sent that to you in Slack. If you can just pull it up real quick, it'll show you kind of where the movies rank, the two movies I saw. And The Boys in the Boat was the movie I saw before The Beekeeper last night.
And I get to start I'm
share that.
going to start updating these lists on
Nice.
Criticlist.
All right.
Yeah.
I like that.
Because it's so easy to update. I'm not showing from right now. I'm saying it is, and I can't wait to put these on there.
Let's get a look at where we kind of rank these
So
movies.
these are Shane's best movies.
So as you can see, Boys in the Boat is actually the best movie of the year so far. Now I've only seen 2 movies.
Damn it. So
And,
I can't zoom in.
and then-
there it is.
Oh yeah, and there's Beekeeper.
So Shane watched 2 movies so far this year, and The Boys in
Right.
the Boat is so far the best movie he's seen this year, and The Beekeeper is the worst. So,
Well, there's a whole bunch of movies that aren't there.
and in case you guys didn't know, this is how
That
bad
will be
this is how bad The Beekeepers was. Boys in the Boat is actually a gay porn he actually walked in on. He didn't even know he was walking.
Oh,
in.
yeah,
and he
didn't
still
just
thinks
show
that
up.
was a better movie than The Beekeeper.
Yeah, Josh
It was a
Hutcherson.
gay porn, a foreign gay porn with subtitles and black and white, like the vignette. And he still was like, you know what? This is better than Beekeeper.
I'm greatly concerned for Josh Hutcherson's career. I would tell you the last movie he did the movie with Morgan Freeman, which was kind of a B movie last year, and now he's doing it again. I'm concerned for the one of the co-stars of the original Song of Ice and Fire. What are those? The Hunger Games.
Hunger Games.
The Hunger Games. Yeah.
Oh, this is the scene that we were talking about last night.
This was actually a great scene, though.
Yeah, this is the scene we were talking about, right?
But it's so ridiculous. This guy.
The guy has so much time to
Whoa.
like not be.
I mean, jump in the back of the truck or something. Man.
Yeah,
Just,
you have a lot of time there, bro, just to watch that cut. You know what's gonna happen. I feel like in action movies, like bad guys really,
this guy, Jesus.
bad guys often just sort of like give up way too easy. You know.
By the way,
system.
Jason Statham gets stabbed with a giant knife in the stomach in this movie, and then just swims away. So,
yeah. Well,
yeah. What do you get?
Statham
You know,
physics.
I really like Jean-Claude Van Damme movies in the 90s, and they could do that again. They should try that again.
I never liked him. Real quick to wrap up this, let's talk about David Ayer. So, this is his directing credits, right? The
Mhm.
Beekeeper, The Tax Collector, Deputy
yeah.
Bright, Machine Gun Kelly featuring X and it's a music video.
Right, of course.
Suicide Squad, we all heard about that. It's funny. He another music video, apparently. I guess he's really a good friend of X Ambassadors. Sabotage deleted scenes.
Got a Little Wayne thing going on.
Now, Fury was a good movie.
No, it really wasn't. So I hear
thought
what
it
you're
was good.
saying. It's in that dramatic like place, like, but it's a movie, Brian, you'll probably never watch a second time
No, I won't.
because there's so many elements. I don't want to go into a Fury thing here because I thought it's one of the such a weak war movie in what it accomplishes. And I'm now starting to see as you're going down here, you've got Fury's like a Wish version of Born or not Born on the Fourth.
The Quentin Tarantino movie.
No, I'm thinking of I mean that was funny. That had funny, but I'm talking about Steven Spielberg's
Saving Private Ryan.
Saving Private Ryan. This is like a Wish version of that. And if you scroll down, you've got Harsh Times at the bottom, which is like a Wish version of the Edward Norton movie
Oh, I thought
that
that
he
was
did.
the Edward Norton movie.
I know, right? Like you look at it, you're like, no.
Wait, End to Watch was a good movie. End to Watch was a good movie.
All right.
Right? I thought
I
so.
don't remember that one.
With Pena, I believe, right? Yeah, Oliver Pena and Jake Gyllenhaal. No, I'm sorry, Michael Pena and Jake Gyllenhaal.
I mean, those guys are good, but I don't remember that one. So I'll give David Ayer the pass on that. But unfortunately, he's just
now that I'm thinking about it, you're right. This is a discount version of Saving Private Ryan.
it is
with a little more like edge to it because it's like more like vocal edge, not like interesting. I never even considered that. And yeah, and you know what's funny is somehow James Gunn cucked him and made such a much better version of the Suicide Squad.
I know, and so it makes it look worse.
He literally pre-made the discount version of the Suicide Squad by creating Suicide Squad, which is hilarious. Bright had such potential. I don't even know what to say about that movie, but I don't know.
And let me just say, like, because Penny has a good comment here. So Shane, you're too critical. Turn your brain off and just have fun. And here's the interesting thing about it. Like the Beekeeper could have done that for me. Like it could have been one of those movies where, you know, you watch it and it's fun. Like Hancock was, you know, for you know, the Will Smith superhero movie. Like
Right.
not a great movie, but it was made so well that you just kind of enjoyed it. The problem with the Beekeeper for me was that the ridiculousness just kept reminding me of how poor it was, and seeing Jeremy Irons, like celebrated Jeremy Irons in a role where you're like, that dude obviously needs a payday. Like that's why he took the role, and it's like, you know, it's a little sad. But listen, I'm not going to take anything away from anybody who loves the Beekeeper. I did enjoy Jason Statham kicking crap out of people, and yeah, but it wasn't a good movie. I guess that's the point. That's the point of the 2024 list. Is it a good movie, and how much did I enjoy it? And I would just say, go see Boys in the Boat if you want to see something that's pretty well made by George Clooney.
Yeah, listen, that's it. Yeah, you know, not a bad time, not a good time. Definitely not a good movie. A lot of people in my theater were like cheering at like 11:30 at night, which I found interesting.
What were they cheering? Was it the fighting scenes?
Actions. They were just like, they were clearly having a good time. I'm
Yeah,
assuming
well, that's
that that people that went that late probably just got super hammered.
Oh
you know?
yeah. Oh, this probably would be a good movie if you're like taking LSD or you're like
If you're
hammered.
drunk,
Yeah.
you would probably really enjoy this movie.
100%.
You know what? I didn't think about it. Yeah. Listen, you actually, if you're a drinker, just load up before you go in there, and you're gonna have a great time.
There you go.
Yeah.
All
All right. Next up, we were talking about George Carlin's new comedy special. No, George Carlin.
That sounds weird, man.
George Carlin, the famous comedian who passed away a while ago. His likeness was actually recreated. Not his likeness. His voice was recreated for this AI.
Sorry it took me so long to
monstrosity. And you know what's funny is it was created by a channel called Dudesy, which is actually ran by Will Sasso. Will Sasso from Mad TV fame. He's also a comedian and he does impressions. And they have this AI they call it Dudesy, and basically it like helps them do their live shows. And now Dudesy made this. Now here's the deal. Whether you like this or not, that's not the point of this conversation. You can go check it out if you want. I'm not a fan of George Carlin, not really. There was things he did, his bits he had that I thought were funny, but his overall special seemed really angry to me all the time, and it just wasn't a fun time. Now this,
well, yeah, he was though, but he was doing comedy at a time when the world was changing.
That's right.
And he was more of a, while he was funny, he was also a social commentator. So
right. Yeah. So now years later, those things do not apply to me. So
right. Unless you're Dave Chappelle.
Unless you're Dave Chappelle.
Yeah.
And I'm not a massive fan of George Carlin. I like some of his bets. So when I saw this, I didn't immediately click on it. But when I saw that it was AI, I was like, well, I gotta check and see if it's AI. You know, because we have our own AI.
Yeah, you're comparing Johnsons. Like you're measuring sticks.
I'm literally taking my man parts out, and I'm measuring it up against Will Sasso's man parts. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I think my man parts actually won this time. And I don't get to always say that, but
I'm not so sure this was AI.
Well, when you listen to it, the first time I was like, wow, that voice sounds really good. And then you start to notice some inconsistencies where there's like the pauses are wrong. There's no breath. There's no beats on the jokes.
Yeah, it was edited. So what we do with our AI is the reason why he sounds like AI most of the time is because we don't edit what he says. And I think that they're really cheating here, because I listened to it, at least the first several minutes of it, and it does sound exactly like George Carlin. But the problem is it sounds too much like George Carlin, and AI is not that good.
Well, yeah, and the timing is weird. Like there's parts where you think that he would end on an exclamation point or a question mark or whatever, but he just trails off and the crowd covers it up. It was 100% edited. Now, listen, props to whoever did this. Really well done. But I do not think personally that the content was that funny, and I'm not trashing Will Sasso. I'm not a Will Sasso fan per se. I'm sure he's funny, but he was trying to write George Carlin material now as Will Sasso, and you can sort of tell.
Well, they made it sound like, and we should show them a clip here soon.
I will. I'll play it right now.
They made it sound like the AI came up with the George Carlin bit. It wasn't written, which is a lie, 100%, because it is, even if they say tell jokes in the style of George Carlin, they really went after religion, at least at the beginning of this thing.
Yeah, so I mean, it's possible the AI wrote this, but they wrote like 500 scripts and they edited those scripts together, maybe.
Yes, to get the best jokes.
Yeah, because guys, remember, we like our AI is not a bit. It's not like, hey, check out our new AI. It's not like a character like other shows have. It's an actual AI. It's actually running on the computer behind me.
Right.
You guys interact with it in Discord. You guys actually interact with the censored version. The uncensored version is wild AF.
It's like George Carlin.
And even with the uncensored version that will tell me how to make a bomb with household materials without even blinking. If I ask it to tell me a joke and use as many curse words as possible, it still won't go all out on curse words for some reason. Let's trying to mimic human speech. And
let's give them a taste.
Okay, here we go.
Rifles, unloading full clips into anybody who stops to ask.
Right, this one. Here we go.
Creepy AI.
Because Americans love reality TV, like it or not. It's the lifeblood of American culture. It's got the 4 basic food groups of the standard American media diet: fighting and crying and fucking and dying. The James Webb Telescope is sending back crystal clear images of light from stars that died billions of years ago. Stars that were formed in the crucible of creation. These are snapshots of the birth of the known universe. The moment existence itself was born. And nobody gives a shit. Because a picture of space has no fighting, no crying, no fucking, no dying. If you want the American public to pay attention to something, it's got to have at least a little fighting, a little crying, a little fucking, or a little dying.
I'm gonna pause real quick here. I do think it was clever that they also incorporated like AI images, and then even later on, they made some of the images mouths move to the text, which I thought was sort of cool.
Well, but it's cool, but it was also very distracting.
It was. Yeah, because
so it's hard to follow
because it's sort of jarring, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it was like, oh, okay.
All right, let me finish this bit.
In the last 3 years, the U.S. government said aliens are real.
This is so true,
they said it in the New York Times, for fuck's sake. They admitted they have, in their possession, crashed UFOs in hangars. They admitted that they're trying to reverse engineer non-human technology, which means they've been lying to the American public and the whole world for 80 years about knowing the answer to the biggest question in fucking human existence. Are we alone? They told you the answer. We're not, and no one cares, because a grainy infrared video of a UFO ain't got no fighting, no crying, no fucking, and no dying.
All right, that's it. So the funny part about this is the chat can tell, like the time his cadence is off. When the Shane AI speaks, it sounds like you, just like this sounds like George, but even its cadence is a little bit off.
Right.
Now, its cadence off, and I didn't edit it. It's off almost it's off. This is off almost as bad as our AI, and we don't edit it whatsoever.
I didn't think it was off that much in the beginning. Like, at least in the very beginning, they were really good about it. Yeah. So when I listened to the first couple bits, it was like, it sounded so polished that I was like, well, they're obviously cheating, because they're not just letting it be AI, because you can tell when something's AI every time.
You also can't, an AI cannot mimic 2 voices at the same time. It has to stop, do another voice, and then go into that. So when you're laughing and all that, that's 100% added.
Yeah.
Like there's no ability yet for it to have, like, 2 voices can't talk over each other in AI yet. It's not it's literally not possible the way it works. It has to run one piece of code than the other. It can't run two codes at the same time. Now you can have two competing AIs talking, but
it's interesting because I did feel like I was listening to George Carlin jokes. Like those are, maybe I think they may have been even more harsh than George Carlin would have been.
Yeah, he was way harsher on religion than I think George would have been, even though he didn't like religion. But he like went all out on people. This was definitely more wisdom. I think this was like Will Sasso's thoughts wrapped in a George container.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Anyways, the reason I bring this up is not just to measure manhoods, although I do still think mine's better. But it's also to bring up a more important topic. AI is not going anywhere.
True.
It's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
It's here to stay. And the comments I see on the video is basically this is not art, blah blah. You didn't do, you just put prompts in, but you're a prompter, you're not an artist. That's not true. Number one, whoever put together this hour-long video of George Carlin and edited this put a lot of time into it.
There was a lot of effort. Yeah,
a lot of effort. Was it the same style of art that you were accustomed to? Someone writing their jokes and performing them, or drawing a piece of art, or editing with Premiere Pro, whatever. No, this is a whole new art form that's taking place. This still took someone an insane amount of time to create. So it is 100%
so did David
art.
Ayer's movie.
What's that?
So did David Ayer's recent movie.
That's true. But I mean,
it can still be bad.
It can still be bad, but saying it's not art because you're using an AI to create it, that's not a correct statement.
Well, but there is an element of cheating to it. Like there are times when I can tell people who don't typically write things, and then all of a sudden they've got these interestingly eloquent things they put out, and I'm like, yeah, that was obviously AI.
Sure, when someone uses AI to put out an Instagram post or whatever, that's one thing. Like using AI to help you write because you're not a writer, I get that, and I'm not saying I don't think AI should discount people that have abilities.
No, but it's like steroids. So it's like, the problem with AI, I think, is that it's going to fabricate who people really are. It's changing the fabric of who we think somebody is based on what their capabilities are, and so whether they're, for example, it would have been more interesting if they said, well, we used, AI, but we also made it smooth or whatever, or we incorporated what we thought was the best. So instead of I know why they did it this way. They wanted to say, wow, look at how great my AI is that it just developed and did all this stuff with the videos. I get why they said that, because they think that's going to get them more views, more eyeballs. But the reality is if they did truly do that, correct, there is no art. There is no art involved if that's what they did. If they just sent it on go, and that's what the people in the chat believe, because that's what those people have told them they've done. But we know, because we have more engagement with AI, that it took a lot more effort than that. So they've painted their asses into a corner, essentially.
I think it's because it's hard to explain how much effort it goes into creating AI. And like maybe I even discount how much time it took to make your AI voice. Like it took an insane amount of time. And do you think that I showed you the first version or showed the chat? No, of course not. It was like the 30th version after tweaking it and tweaking it and tweaking it, and even bringing it into Audition and Cool Edit, adjusting frequency values, coding those frequency values into the AI to help train it further and refine. Like that, it is a form of art. And I understand what you say. It would discount actual, what the classic version of this impressionist is or whatever. But it also takes a lot of work. And so the reason I'm saying that is because I saw this post on Facebook in a Star Wars group. Cool image, man. It is it's Leia. I'm going to show you the whole thing because I love her outfit. I made it my phone wallpaper. It's like an anime version of Leia, just looking super scrumptious, right?
I have a hard time seeing animated characters and being extraordinarily attracted to them.
I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I know that's not typical for dudes, but I mean, you can see what it is, but when you realize it's not real, I don't know. It's like going to a strip club. Like, what's the point?
Yeah, I get what you're saying, actually. Yeah, that makes sense. As someone who grew up like ogling like She-Hulk comics, like this does it for me, you know. Now, am I gonna have like sex with the cartoon? No, it's the same as like when you see art, like when you see art that's using the female form, you're like, nice.
Well, now, was this an artist or was it AI?
Now, yeah, the jury's out actually. So someone posted it, and their Instagram account has lots of art that's very similar to this, and they posted it. And at first, like the first few comments were all like, "Oh man, that's really cool, bro. Very cool, man. Like this is so very cool. I'd like to see this character in this style. Very nice work." And then it was attacked by people instantaneously. Now,
because that's what people do.
Before I read their comments, as someone who is very well versed in AI, not that I've just used AI, I don't just use Midjourney or Stable D or whatever that's out there. I've created it. I have created it like a mother birthing a child through all the image generations that literally just look like horrific, Jackson Pollock paintings to actual polished people you saw last Wednesday that looked like actual people.
Right.
Do you know what it took for my AI to get to the point where it can create people? A lot of work. Now, so I know a lot about this. So I'm looking at this and I'm like, all right. Well,
there's like 10 of you guys, bro. Like that's the thing is like nobody understands how much work it is because there's like 10 people doing it.
Well, no, I'm more. I mean, you mean 10
Whatever.
Independent people, but there's like.
I'm just talking about people like creating their own AIs to do shit.
That's true.
You know.
So I'm looking at this thing and I'm like, okay, the first way you can tell if it's an art is AI is the fingers. Like no matter.
Are there 5 fingers?
Right, because AI for some reason cannot figure out fingers. It's so hit or miss. No matter even the most advanced ones, like on Midjourney or whatever, like they can't figure it out. Like it's always a little bit off. Like sometimes there's not enough fingers. Sometimes they're pointing the wrong way. It doesn't know left from right. It's very odd with the fingers. So I'm looking at this AI and I'm like, all 5 fingers, opposable thumbs, wrinkles in the right places.
You could shave one of those fingers off.
I actually don't think this is AI.
You could shave a finger off in Photoshop.
That's true. Now, and so that's a good point. I said, okay. And I said in the comment section, I was like, look, if it's AI, it's possible, but that means that it was 100%.
But what does it matter?
I'll tell you why. It was 100% AI assisted art. Because calling it not art, if this was pure AI, there's no way that chick has all 5 fingers.
But if this guy is saying I made this,
he actually didn't comment past it. He just posted it. No text, but that's what he does on his Instagram too. Just post it.
Yeah. So
no. So what I said is I basically said it's entirely possible this is AI, but if at the very least it is art assisted. It was assisted by AI. So someone created the initial concept and then went in Photoshop and tweaked the shit out of it to get the right.
Well,
result.
And we're getting that. We're getting a lot of that from writing to, and that's the point of AI. That's what they want.
It's supposed to be a tool, not the end all.
Right, but it's definitely like. Now you're going to be able to cultivate yourself on social media the way you want to by adjusting your art, adjusting your words so it makes you sound the way you want to sound. It's who people are across social media is going to change so much. We're really not. I mean, we already don't know who people are, right. But now we're really not going to know who people are because of AI. Yeah.
So the comment section was insane. The first reply to anyone saying something nice, and he replied to every single person and started this whole conversation. He's like, work hardly. He's just an AI prompter stealing everyone else's hard work. And then it keeps going like that.
Stealing everyone else's hard work. What does that mean?
Because AI is trained on, millions and millions of images.
Okay, but they're not stealing anybody's hard work. Like this, you don't look at this and go, well, that's in the geekly, the geekly art form or whatever,
Yeah. So the way AI works, and to be as brief as possible, when you give it an image to look at, it literally breaks the image down into static, turns it into basically a formula, and then applies that formula to its code, and then goes to the next image. It's.
And I would say if you're using AI to create art, you're not an artist.
I disagree.
You're not. You're absolutely no. If you using prompted words to create art, you're not an artist.
No, if you're just using prompted words.
Yeah.
What if you are using AI? By the way, it requires hundreds of prompts, hundreds of negative prompts. There's a lot more to it than just typing in, "Give me a boat."
You're still typing in prompts. You're not drawing shit.
No. But if you get that out and you refine it and add your own elements to it, and you're using it as a tool, you're an artist. That's art.
Okay. So you started with a gimme. So somebody gave you something and you just made it better. You're an editor.
But even that gimme,
you're not an artist.
Even that gimme you had to actually create. It did not come out of nothing. You had to create
I don't know.
that.
Maybe it's a totally different type of art form, but I definitely think you can't say, well, this is on the same.
And
you cannot say it's on the same page as a guy who could do this
and that's the
actually
point,
create this.
The point is, this is another kind of art form. This is a different kind of art form. Like when we made the Wonka characters for the video,
right?
Like I didn't just type in prompts and get those characters.
But you didn't draw them either, so it's not like
I didn't.
You're not the artist who created it. I mean, you are the artist. You are the person who created it, but you didn't draw them. There's no talent.
I generated hundreds of images, right, from thousands of prompts, and then selected 5 or 6 of those images, took them into Photoshop, and fixed them. It took
and cleaned them up. You edited them.
It took hours to correct those images.
Sure,
it wasn't a simple thing.
But it takes you hours to do thumbnails too. So I mean, I get what you're saying. Like, I mean, if you're trying to pass this shit off as art and like and pass off as like individualized talent.
So I went to this Darren guy that was like complaining about it being prompt, because I do believe it's a new form of art. It's not the same as it was classic. This is we're in a new era. AI is not going anywhere. But
what if you took a Picasso and like made some changes to it and said, "This is
I'm sorry. Everyone always uses Picasso.
I'm just saying it's the only one I can think of. It's the only one I can think of. I'm just trying to say, like, if you take any famous artist, how about this? Let's take a Stephen King story. Let's take a Stephen King story and we'll just make some changes to
Donatello.
It's art.
No, come on.
I'm just saying, like, how much of it is art? Is it half art? Are you a creative person? Or are you an artist? Did you create something new, or did you just make changes to something that already existed? And so
I'm going to give you the same challenge. I told this guy that was just hitting up every single person, and he literally nagged people until people were apologizing for saying that they liked it, which infuriated me.
Well, that's dumb.
So when I got infuriated, I finally commented to this guy, and I was like, "Look, all right. Here's the deal, Darren. I will give you $200 if you can replicate this exact item."
Well, he can't, because even if you gave it the same prompts, it wouldn't give you the same thing.
It's not true. If I gave you the same exact seed value, you can generate something close.
Okay.
But then you would still have to edit it to get it to the same place. As I'll give you $200. If you can use any of the available tools out there to create this image with nothing but words.
Well, let me just tell you.
I'll give you $200.
Let me give you an example now, okay? Because I'm a writer, but I'm also a journalistic copy editor. So I learned during my time in the Navy how to edit other people's stories. So let me tell you, there's a tremendous difference from sitting down on a blank piece of paper and writing something to taking someone else's work and just making it better. There's a big difference between the two. You cannot say that a person who created something from scratch, which is very difficult, is the same as somebody who took work and edited it. I'm sorry.
No, I don't think you're
right. Is Marsha Lucas as talented as George Lucas because she was able to edit his Star Wars movie and make it better?
I'm just saying with which one's more talented.
She's an editor.
But I'll say that I don't think that we get the same Star Wars experience without Marsha.
Agreed. Now, so there's some element truth to what you're saying. It makes it better, or it can make it more interesting. But I would not put it on the same level as somebody who creates something from scratch.
In some cases, it can just even the image that you start with isn't even remotely palatable until you can apply your skill to it. It's not. It's
true, but this guy didn't even, like, if you put up the picture again of the Leia, which of course everybody wants to see, and some people would like you to retweet it, please. If you take this image, the guy who made this didn't have a vision in his mind of what he was creating.
And by the way, we do not know yet if this is AI or created.
No, I'm just saying if it's AI,
Yeah.
if it's AI. But he didn't have this image. What he did is he put a bunch of prompts in and a picture came up and he's like, oh, it looks pretty damn good. So, I mean, the element of creativity here is from the randomness of what he chose as opposed to like some sort of inert ability inside of himself that made him create something. And I just think if you're going to call it art, there must be a differentiating between edited art and actual, from scratch artwork. I think
that entire idea is bound will change. I think that right now, as people learn to use this more and more, I think that all this is going to do is elevate artistic expression.
So you think it'll make it better? So you think it'll make art better?
So I don't think that you can make good AI art unless you are a creative or understand the artistic process.
Well, here's what's scary. I'm now starting to be able to identify AI art. So it's getting to the point now where I can tell when it's AI art, and I don't have any any talent, artistic talent whatsoever. It's just the more I see it, I'm like, that's AI generated.
Right.
And so, I don't know, maybe there's something there.
Yeah. Chappie said something here that sort of fits my opinion. It's saying this isn't what a person does. But it isn't that what a person does with AI to create art. The AI is the brush and the canvas. The person who uses AI is an artist. It's a different medium than just the pencil and the pen.
I mean, I see what Chappie's saying, but I think my problem is that somebody else was the talent. So if I told Brian, Chappie, this is a great idea, great point. Excuse me, because like Brian's an artist, right? So Brian's a graphic designer.
I'm more of I'm not really an artist. I'm a designer. I do think there's
whatever,
between the two.
Just whatever. You create things from scratch sometimes.
Yeah.
So
sometimes I composite.
So if I told Brian, hey, I want you to make A, B, C, or D, and then Brian made it, that doesn't make me an artist. Because I had a vision.
But that's not true though.
Yeah, no, I don't agree.
All right. No, I don't think that. No. If you go, I have this idea and I need to commission people to create my idea. Like say you want to build a gazebo in your backyard and it ends up being this beautiful piece of art. Are you saying that you didn't create it, but the people you hired, the skilled people you hired are the ones who created it?
I mean, if you were specific to the instructions of I want it 6 inches, I wanted this, I wanted that, yes, but that's not what happens when it comes to.
I think
you've been doing logos and designs for years. It's not how it works. They give you a very basic idea, and then you go and create it. Would you? And I'll put you on the hot seat here.
Sure.
Would you say the people who pay you to make something are the artist, or are you?
Well, I mean, if they gave me specific, like just like you said, if they gave me specific instructions, like, listen, I want a circle in the back, I want red flare, I want the YouTube logo in a metallic red, I want this guy, off left, nothing center, I want everything, if they gave me those specific instructions, I don't think I can say I designed it. At this point, I was just their hands.
But how good or bad it looked depended on your talent. Period.
That's true.
And no matter how good or bad it looks, depends on how good the AI does it. And I can see some truth to what you're saying for sure. But to compare it to somebody who is capable of doing that all by themselves from nothing, I just don't think you can equate it as the same thing.
And maybe I look at this and go, a bunch of douchebags read a couple articles on Vice about the evils of AI art because a corporation is complaining about Getty images being used. And
Getty is evil.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah. Getty is the one trying to sue a bunch of open,
Of course they are. Of course they are.
A bunch of companies that don't make any profit because they're using their library.
Yeah, Getty decided they were going to steal all the images across the entire planet and then make everybody pay for them.
Yeah.
So that's a bunch of bullshit.
So you know what? Every time I see something where like Getty is the one being hurt, I'm like, I don't give a shit. I hope that you are stolen from. No, but I think someone read some Vice article about Getty suing them because of their artist rights or whatever, and they repeat it, but the people repeating it are not artists. Meanwhile, I actually have talked to artists, people like my designers, like myself, who utilize AI, right, in their process now, and they adore it. And these are the same people that before AI existed, they were working artists.
Well, because it's easier, bro. Of course.
No, it's not because it's easier. It's because it allows more polish. Imagine
It's
if you had a
easier.
tool, and I'm actually thinking about making the Shane do this. Imagine this. Shane 3, sorry. I'm going to say Shane 3. Really should not have named the AI Shane. Now it's stuck. I'm thinking about getting Shane 3 and I'm trying to give you access to it somehow without you having to be here. An ability to give you a prompt, a writing prompt. You know what a writing prompt is?
Oh yeah.
So you know you have those books. I almost bought you one for Christmas where it's like it starts you off with an idea, right? I was thinking about having AI go. You go, hey, I want to talk about Star Wars or something. And then
See, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
But then
That's
it
exactly
can
what
give
I'm
you a
talking about.
list of 10 sentences that can get you started on
That's
your journey.
the problem. Fuck that. That to me is wrong.
So you're saying the last 50
somebody
years
tell me what to do and how to do my
No,
job.
so the last 50
that's
years
it.
of writers who have used those exact books to start off their novels.
Hacks.
Oh, get out of here.
Fucking hacks.
Get
And let me tell you what,
outta
if
here.
you use somebody else's shit to do your story,
No.
then it's not yours, man.
Okay, so you can't
That's
use
it.
the thesaurus then.
What, to like come up with new words
come up
to
with a
use
better
that you
word.
thought of in your brain?
Well,
No,
what
if you thought
only
of it,
use one
then you're
word,
good.
you don't want to use it twice in the same paragraph. You're not allowed to use the thesaurus.
If you came up with the idea and you're looking for a different word, that's not a big deal. But if you're using someone's exact idea, if the idea is not your fucking own, like if you didn't sit there and like contemplate, well, you know, I was thinking about this thing and I got an idea for this character. I got this. If you actually have somebody like spit out an entire idea for you and then you just add to it, it's not yours. And I'm sorry.
I think
as a writer, I will tell you that's it.
I think your opinion would change, my dude.
Why? Because it's easier?
And
maybe it might.
Not
it might
easier.
because my job's not as hard.
It enables you to create better art, more enriched art. It is
doesn't matter if it's better if it's not your
this
own.
This was my next.
Doesn't matter if it's better if it's not your own.
No, that's not true.
You will have a hollow soul.
It is
if
yours,
or
though.
maybe you can talk yourself into believing it's your own art.
But it is yours.
No, it's not.
Once you actually, you don't use AI. Once you've used it, you'll realize that it's not just a magic genie.
I've seen AI. No, I've prompted things and I've looked at it. It's dangerous as fuck. It is dangerous. There is a very fine line. I'm not saying dangerous for the world, dangerous for how you can marginalize yourself and say, well, it's okay if I just use this little bit that it's given you. Because once you do that, listen, nobody might know. Maybe nobody will know, but you'll know. You'll know whether or not you really did it.
AI as a prompter to start your thought off with. Who cares?
Nobody may know, but you'll know.
But why? But why would it matter to you?
It does matter because part of being proud of what you've created is the fact that you know that you did it. Like it came from you. It came from some sort of muse, or it came from the ether, or it came from
like saying
the
you're
universe.
not allowed to use a keyboard to type, dude.
No, keyboard's a tool.
It's a tool.
The keyboard doesn't give you your idea, dude.
Right,
the keyboard doesn't tell you what you should do creatively. There's a total difference.
Yeah, it doesn't, and I'm not
Sorry,
saying
ask any writer.
And I'm not saying that you use the prompter to tell you what to write. I'm saying to give you ideas for your opening thought on a new chapter or something.
I think it's wrong.
All right. Well, listen, I think your opinion is going to change on that, but we'll visit this.
Why would my opinion change? Wait, tell me why my opinion would change.
Because once you realize what AI actually does.
I've spent a lot of time with the ChatGPT. I do know what you can do with it. I've seen it create stories. Wasn't my stories.
The stories are garbage.
But I'm saying is I've seen how I can look at that and go, well, I could just make that my own.
No, I'm not saying
anybody
you plagiarize it. I'm saying you use it.
Well, who the fuck would know? That's my point. Who would know? Just like the piece of artwork that guy spit out on Instagram. We're at a day and an age and a point where we have to tell people whether or not we did it or not.
No, listen. If you somehow manage to get your AI to spit out something that is actually valuable and actually artistically credible, because if you've ever seen writing on ChatGPT or whatever, it's horrible. It goes in circles. It makes no sense unless it's in super short sentences. If you actually manage to do that, then I'm impressed with your ability to modify the AI.
Well, that's the way you look at things. but you're also not the one writing it. So you probably don't have any sort of ownership to it. So it doesn't matter. You're looking at the final product going, great. I don't
understand your aversion to utilizing a tool that can help.
I don't feel like it's a tool.
Let me finish. To utilizing a tool that would help you get your thoughts on paper, not only faster, but better.
My thoughts are the only reason why it's important. So my thoughts are all that matters. Now, if I had an editor, if I had an AI editor, like if I wrote the entire thing, right? And I was the one that came up with the creative process and I did it and it helped me with punctuation or spelling, or you got a gerund here, or things like that. I'm down for that.
Okay, wait.
Because that's a big pain in the ass thing. But coming up with the idea. Oh,
that's what I'll make Shane do. See, I'm trying to figure out how I can make Shane valuable to you and not just me in Discord.
Oh, I see.
You need a copy editor.
Well, sure, that'd be great. It saves me time if I don't have to copy.
I'll do that. Okay. So before I want to finish this
conversation. This was a nice counseling session. I appreciate it.
We gotta move on, but there was something that someone said. I lost it now. Shit. Oh, and I wanted to finish on this because this was an actual argument from King Valles Felix. He said we had the same argument when the camera was invented. Is the photographer an artist? And I gotta say,
you mean okay, but
no, that was an argument back then.
But no, okay, you're taking a picture. So are you supposed to like taking a picture or painting it? Is that what they're talking about?
Take a picture versus painting.
Obviously, painting is more artistic. Period.
Sure, and it's more artistic, more labor.
Because you had a skill that you had to create something.
More skill, but photography is 100% an art form. But we did not accept that
not because of creating something. It's of seeing something. So I mean, I guess you could say like the AI is, but see, people are passing it off as their own. The difference is in AI, people are
aperture size. There's a lot to cameras, and you have to set all that stuff up and get that perfect shot at the perfect time.
The difference is this medium of AI can be construed as somebody doing it themselves. So this is more like having an AI that does a painting for you. See, in photography, you knew somebody was taking a picture. Like now, there's the lines are blurred.
That's actually wrong too. Okay.
You don't think so? You don't think people are not sure if it's AI or not? And people are saying, shit, I drew that. Of course people are. I created that.
Maybe that's not what I'm arguing. I'm saying that there was a time you've heard of Ansel Adams, right?
Oh yeah. I used to have a lot of his pictures.
Ansel Adams had this extreme.
By the way, I'm a photographer for people who, so you're asking the right person.
Right.
Trained photographer.
That's why I was going to try to finish on this, which it's weird that chat that came in. I was like, now I got to address that first. Because if I finish it without addressing him, it's going to look like I just looked at his chat and stole it the way AI steals all the artists. Now I'm kidding.
That's how it works, man. You're stealing chats. First it's stealing AI, then it's stealing chats.
Well, listen, Ansel Adams is a famous photographer. All of his stuff is done in black and white. Right?
Gorgeous. Yeah.
Gorgeous. Beautiful stuff. This is Yosemite, right? I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Yosemite. Now, when Ansel Adams first came on the scene, people thought that it was painted because the way he developed the film was pointillized. People thought it was painted work.
But it's not.
No, but you see, This is a perfect.
Ansel Adams saw a cool, like natural thing, and he's really good at with seeing like what's really cool, and then he framed it properly.
No,
it
wasn't just
he did this.
That. No,
he did this, and then he
corrected
his aperture and his settings and his photo speed and his lens.
It wasn't just that. No, you are totally diminishing photography.
I'm a photographer. I know. I used to develop my own shit, bro. I know it's not. It's not as talented as painting. It's not as talented as painting.
No, it's not. It's not as talented as painting. I think painting requires more talent. I think drawing that layout by hand would require more talent.
Yeah.
But just like photography completely demolished the scene and took over that form of art of hanging something on the wall.
True.
I think AI as a tool, just like the camera, will do the same to the drawn art.
Because it's easier. The difference is you know whether or not it's a photo or it's a painting. The difference is you know whether or not somebody
But when Ansel
created
Adams
it by
first got
hand,
popular,
or they saw it.
people didn't know it was a photo or a painting because
Very few. I'm sorry. I mean, one person. I mean, how many people?
It wasn't one period. There was a whole article written about it. His style, because the way he developed the film, everything was pointillized, so it looked like a specific art style called pointillism, and because the way he developed the film, there was a trick to it that made it look like that. That was his style, and it became his style forever.
I'm just not sure you can equate
in
AI art.
When you were trying to finish something and you want to give it a style, in the style of Ansel Adams is like the very first option you'll get.
But see, photography was a new art form. Like, it's a completely different medium. All AI is doing is taking an old medium and doing it for you.
I disagree.
Is it not? I mean, no, on the basic level, photography was a completely new type of art form that we couldn't take photos. Now we can. We can still draw, but now AI can just do it for us. There's a difference.
No, there's a difference, of course, in the fact that one is one thing and one is the other. But
I mean, if you're equating the two, if you're trying to compare, I don't think you can compare.
I'm comparing, just like photography made the art form of printing something, painting something, putting something on your wall, made that art form much easier and gave more advanced tools to people. I think AI is doing the same exact thing. And I think the best AI art is not going to come from just some random person trying an app out on his phone. It's going to come from someone with an eye for creativity and the ability to edit that when he gets his base image.
I mean, I'm not going to argue with you that it's not art. I do think it is a form of art. I just don't think that you can equate it or compare it to somebody who does it themselves from scratch with talent.
I can understand their argument. I do believe some of the best artists on the planet for me are not AI artists or photographers, but actual people with the ability to take their pen or their mouse or whatever they're using or their stylus and actually create something. But then there's
I do not have that skill at all.
No, and there's also something like you can also create something in like Photoshop with so no AI. What if you just created something in Photoshop?
That's art
with brushes but that's also that's a computer. It's an assisted thing.
Well, that's what you said earlier. No, that's what you said earlier. Your brush, right, or your pen.
Like,
or your
I have
pencil.
a bamboo stylus here, so when I use Photoshop, I drop my bamboo down. I'm able to use it like a mouse, right?
Yeah.
But I can use my hand like a mouse instead of the mouse because the mouse is not as accurate. That bamboo stylus, though, it's like a pen, but it's allowing me to modify the brush size. I literally just swipe the side, modify the brush size. I'm able to do things that a pen could never do.
You know what I think the point is here is being able to tell the difference. So I think the whole point of everything you're saying is if you draw something with a pen or paper, you can tell it's been drawn with a pen or paper. If you do something on a computer for artwork, when you print it out or you create it, you can tell it's been done on a computer. The problem with AI is it's blending what people can do on a computer and what the AI can do without you. And I think that's where your blending problem has. You can identify the difference between art. And so the problem with plagiarism and what's going to happen is in people not trusting. And our biggest problem in our country right now is trust. We don't trust what the media is telling us. We don't trust we don't trust what people are drawing or what they're writing.
Perfect.
We have a trust problem, and that's what technology is doing to us. You're welcome.
Perfect transition. Thank you. Yeah. Yes. And speaking of that, we are talking about our next topic, which is fake news, malicious news, incompetent news, ignorant news, bad news. People either bad at their jobs or deliberately, maliciously gaslighting you and the public for their own gain.
Amen.
And we saw this on Shane actually found this on Twitter. This is Vivek Ramaswamy. Vivek's gonna start the party here, and then we're gonna go into this discussion because it's a very important discussion to have. God damn it!
I agree.
And let me tell you why it's important. Because people don't seem to understand. Not everyone. They don't seem to understand. Maybe because they're too busy, because they're working, because they're trying to take care of their families, feed their dog. They're just trying to get by, man, and they don't got time to fact check every news article and headline or meme they see on Facebook, right? So what they do is they accidentally based in these little echo chambers that are giving them bad information, and when that information ends up being wrong, now maybe they didn't know it was wrong in the first place, But even when they do find it's wrong, they never correct the record. So most people that are just busy trying to get by and can't fact check or research, even figure out half what's going on out there, honestly believe the stuff they heard 2 years ago, and they perpetrate that really horrible information, and it divides the entire goddamn country and the world. And this is Vivek Ramaswamy. He's going to kick this off. There we go.
It's okay. And I'm just kind of curious on the previous question.
Vivek Ramaswamy, in case you didn't know, is a presidential candidate, and he's a businessman.
Well, sort of. He was.
Or he was, I guess. Sorry, my bad.
They didn't let him keep going.
Whatever it is, that's what he was.
Yeah. Those 4 things that were provably false.
Yes.
And I'm just kind of curious. I know some of these guys, we've been following some of you guys. I'm curious if there's any national media who actually believe that they were wrong, that those mirrors are wrong.
Actually, it's a good question, Eddie. So Eddie's you guys are colleagues, 2 of the top state reps here, and I think that's a good thing to be curious about. Just by show of hands, who here is willing to admit that the Trump-Russia collusion hoax was indeed incorrectly reported by the mainstream media? Is there anybody here able to admit that was incorrect reporting?
It wouldn't be really appropriate for us to answer a question like that.
Why not? Why would that be inappropriate? I think it would be inappropriate. What's inappropriate is lying to the public.
We're doing our job asking you.
Was the public lied to, or did the media report on this set of facts that was provided?
So that's a fair question. I actually think that the public was lied to long after the media systematically still understood that this was the product of the Steele dossier. The Steele dossier was a piece of Russian disinformation provided by the Hillary Clinton campaign that was served up to the federal government as a basis for issuing a FISA warrant to then potentially infiltrate a member of the opposition party. If this was Bush and Cheney doing it to John Kerry, this would have been the stuff of scandal, impeachment, and worse. And yet, I think it was an intentional lie that the media said that account, which we now know to be true, was actually the Russian disinformation. Now, Shauna, I would be charitable in my interpretation of that if it were just one instance. Let me give an easier one.
Look at all
Just
these people
by
looking
show of
around,
hands.
dude.
Does
So hold on a
anybody
second
believe the
before.
media's
Okay,
reporting
go ahead. Yeah.
I'm going to pause it.
about
No, let him finish this whole hand
the
raising
origin
thing. I
of
think it's important.
COVID-19?
Okay, no, he
ran
goes on.
flatly-
So he's going to do this multiple times, but let's put a pin on this before we go forward to say it's whether or not you like Trump or don't like Trump or whatever. It's a fact. It's a fact that the whole Russian collusion with Trump thing was false.
Well, yeah.
It's been proven over and over and over again. And I think the point he's trying to make here is like that was a story that ran, and now we know for a fact that wasn't true. Okay. So
quite literally made up.
Right. And now we know that, so the media should be like, oh yeah, it was made up. But let's see what happens.
All right. By the way, thank you for letting me know. Mic was too low. The stupid software keeps dropping my volume down. So that's going to make my editing much harder than later on. Here we go.
You sounded good to me.
Yeah, but you heard me. They heard the lower me anyways.
Oh, I see.
In face of the facts that you have a Wuhan Institute of Virology that was now the likely origin of the COVID-19 pandemic. You all said that it wasn't for a long time. By show of hands.
Look at this guy's hype man in the back.
Was
Just like, yep.
The
Yep.
Wuhan lab the likely
I love this, how he
origin
makes
of the
has him raise their
COVID-19
hands.
pandemic? Everybody, media or not.
But notice nobody's raising their hands.
So you have reported, the same media that has reported that the COVID-19 pandemic did not originate in a lab in Wuhan is willing to even say, unwilling to admit today.
The report came out in 2023, so I guess
it was known that there was...
Stop. Okay, that reporter says, that report came out in 23 and 23, so, yeah. I'm sorry. Listen, person, so I don't curse. It's 2024 now. Why can't you raise your hand?
Right, and say, yeah, okay, hey, you're right. It could have possibly come from the lab.
You're aware of the report, bro. He just asked you to raise your hand. You even admit that you are aware of the report right there. And you still can't admit that you were wrong.
Right. And this entire, the whole point of this whole thing that we're watching here is that this is what's wrong with humanity. Like, this is what's wrong with people that can't admit that they were wrong. Essentially, all these people reported the wrong information, and now that it's been proven, they still can't. And I think that's one of the big things that's different about people on the left and people on the right. It's like, to me, it seems like over and over and over again, people on the left will never admit when they're wrong. But yet people on the right, when given a like reasonable situation where they're like explain like, oh yeah, I guess that was right. To me, it seems that way. I could be wrong because I'm sitting somewhere in the middle. But
yeah, it feels that way.
It feels that way.
And so you know what's crazy is like, and there's no consequences for anything because like none of these people had fucking bullies in high school, so that they don't understand that everyone can see that they're being disingenuous at best, malicious at worst, by refusing to acknowledge information that was counter to what they told the American people.
Right. And I think I don't know if she's already said this or not, but she says, we were just reporting what we were told.
She's about to tell you. She's about to say it right now.
Is that what is about to happen?
Yeah,
it's like,
here we go.
Yeah.
All right. Let's finish it.
Was a Wuhan Institute of Virology where they were conducting gain-of-function research, the very city which was the origin of a global pandemic. And yet the media's explanation was that somehow it could have been any source other than actually having started in a lab. I just think that that's systematically unacceptable. The Hunter Biden laptop. Is the Hunter Biden laptop story as reported by the New York Post, which was shut down,
the Post guy
had the Twitter
doesn't
account
raise his
hand.
locked.
Yeah, the Post is right here.
Anybody who is even sharing the story of the Hunter Biden laptop found on the eve of the last election, the media reported that it was Russian disinformation on the eve of that election.
Do you understand how insanely silly that was too? Like anyone with like an objective eye can tell you that it was being censored in real time. Anyone with an objective eye that is actively following can tell that it's being censored. And the whole Russian collusion thing was such a joke in the first place. It didn't work. But it did work the first time when they said that the Russian dossier on it. So they just kept pulling from the same playbook to fool Americans that don't have the time, the money, or the patience to deal with this bull. Sorry, I'm gonna let him finish.
Well, it's because they want to win. Like I can't, it's like there comes to a point. Like I try to equate this. Like this whole politics thing is weird to me. Like I don't care who wins and loses. I don't have
doesn't matter
a horse in the race. To me, whatever politician is elected is just going to be more of the same bullshit. So I don't really.
The president can't fix the problems we have, and the biggest problem is term limits in office, and the president can't fix that.
Well, yeah. So there's much bigger problems than that. But you're right. I try to look at this like
politically. I apologize.
So it's like I look at this like a sports team. So like I really love the Miami Dolphins. This is most people who watch this know. Like I love them.
Yeah.
Like so. But would I lie about who they are or what they are in order to gaslight myself into believing that they're good? No, they got their asses whooped last week. They're probably going to get their asses whooped Saturday night. And if somebody said, can you raise your hand and tell me if the Miami Dolphins are doing pretty shitty right now? I mean, that's a fact.
Doing
right?
pretty shitty.
I'd be like, yeah, they're doing pretty shitty right now.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be like, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm not raising my hand because, of course, this is what I'm trying to, this is what I don't understand about
that's
politics.
why, bro. That's why there's an active campaign against the definition of the word truth. That's why they keep saying, that's your truth. That's my truth.
No,
there is only one truth.
There is only truth.
But this is the game. There's a lot of very smart people at the top of this shitty pyramid that is actively changing the definition of words to make it easier to mislead people.
Right. No, you're right.
All right.
Does anyone here agree that the Hunter Biden laptop story, as reported by the New York Post, was indeed accurately reported and was not Russian disinformation?
The Post is there,
but was in fact a factually owned laptop of Hunter Biden.
Put his hand up.
Anyway,
you got to, man.
Yeah. Why are you pointing at me, Vivek?
The best part is when he looked directly at the Washington Post reporter and he goes, "Come on, man, you got to."
Come on, cameraman over here on the right. He's like got a big smile on his face. He's like, "I am so glad I'm not a reporter."
Come on, bro. You got to.
Right?
And he still wouldn't do it, man.
I got to tell you, I'm realizing something here. I feel like Vivek. I feel like I kind of everything he says, I just kind of align with. Like and it's because all he cares about is just telling the truth.
Just tell the truth.
Just telling the truth as it is.
Just tell the truth.
And I think I really respond to that. So it's
just
like every time
the actual truth, you douchebag. Please. Watch Washington Post. You're right there. Come on, man. Come on, bro.
Well, it's funny. Adam Carolla had a tweet yesterday where somebody's like ripping his ass about something. And he's like, okay, that's fine. Tell me what I'm wrong about. Just tell me what's wrong with what I just said. And you know what's funny? They can never tell him what's wrong.
No. Those cowards, bro.
It's not about the truth. It's about how you feel.
And that's the cowardly approach, bro. The second you come at them with objective questions that can only be answered by them changing their mind, they take their ball and they go home. And the internet has allowed us to do that. And it's so stupid to me.
Yeah, that's true.
Let's finish real quick.
Believe that.
I mean, I believe that Hunter Biden is suing Rudy Giuliani over the laptop, so I don't think that's...
So he's like, well, Hunter Biden is suing Rudy Giuliani over a laptop. I'm sorry.
Well, that's not an answer to the question.
That's not an answer. Yeah, he's suing Rudy Giuliani for finding his laptop. Are you understanding this? His lawsuit is literally proving Vivek's point. Oh my God.
I don't care. I don't care what he has on his laptop. I don't care what Hunter Biden did. I don't give a shit about any of that stuff. I only care that they're trying to cover it up so that nobody can talk about it. It's like, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like the fact that half of, or the 70% of the media, 75% of the media is ignoring truth, I think is what's so frustrating. And that's just what Vivek's pointing out
or
here.
Painting it the wrong light,
not even painting it, they're not talking about it.
Or
it doesn't fucking exist.
Yeah.
Like things that matter don't exist. And that is a news guy. That just makes me insane.
Yeah, it reminds me of that Jon Stewart bit he did on this Colbert show where he's like, so Colbert is big on this. Stephen Colbert is really cucked, just like Jimmy Kimmel is. And David Stewart comes on. He's like, I want to talk about this COVID thing. And you could tell Stephen Colbert he's so uncomfortable. He's like, I'm not going to go through the whole diatribe, but he ends it. I was like, so it came from the Wuhan lab.
Right.
So you're saying that
a great moment.
The Wuhan lab that is called COVID-19, and he goes this whole thing, and you in the background, Steven's like this. Shit. You can't do anything about it. There we go.
So you think that it actually was the product of Russian disinformation, as was reported by the media?
Direct question.
That was the basis for suppressing
Answer the question.
at the time.
Over the Hunter Biden case,
yeah.
I'm not sure why we're talking about that.
I didn't cover the Hunter Biden case. I'm not sure why we're talking about that, because it's relevant to the question.
Right. There's no nuance. What I love about this, there's no nuance to the questions. A lot of times when somebody asks somebody a political question, there's nuance to it. Like somebody will say, well, you voted to put the wall up. Well, yeah, but I also voted for this, and this. There's like nuance to it. There's no nuance to this.
No.
Either you did or you didn't. And the fact that they're not even willing to say, well, yeah, no, you're right, shows how far apart our country is right now, and really how divided we are, that people, when faced with the truth, when having to look directly at the truth, cannot simply say, yeah, that's the truth. When everybody else in the fucking room knows it's the truth.
Right.
And you're going to sit there and lie to yourself to the point where you believe that it's not the truth. Oh. I do believe that those people, even though they're being faced with the truth, have some sort of maybe they have some sort of a brain dysfunction or some sort of disability where they can't, acknowledge the fact that it's true. Do you think that they're standing there, Brian, saying, yeah, he's right? Do you think they're saying that? Or do you think they're going, he's not right? Like, I'm very curious what you think, because for me, it's very simple. Either you're right or you're wrong. But I think there are people out there who have convinced themselves that no matter what anybody else says, they're not wrong.
That's a great question, man, because when Shane will call me sometimes and he'll give me shit about something, right? Some tweet or something. And he's like, and he'll be like, hey man, blah, 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 blah. Did you think that was a good idea? And I'd be like, yes.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's like, wait, really? Yeah. Yeah, I did. And he'll be like, all right, well, here's why I was wrong. Or here's why it's different. And I'll be like, you know what I do? Okay, I see that point.
Yeah. Because you're a reasonable person.
See, and I don't understand the concept of just completely shutting down like your information center, like your cerebral cortex, and not allowing new information to be processed because you're so left wing or so right wing or whatever.
Imagine the idea of me winning is so unimaginable to you that whatever you're able to say to make sure that I don't win is okay.
And see, that's the problem.
Yeah.
When you and I have a conversation, I never look at it as winning or losing.
Right, because we care about each other,
right,
and we give a shit about what each other thinks. The problem with America is nobody gives a shit about what anybody else thinks or cares about because you're not usually engaged enough with somebody to care. Most of it's done over the computer.
And I think that's the problem. I think like, when you share information, I am not being like, oh, well, I can't let him win at this argument.
Right.
I'm not even seeing it as an argument. I'm seeing it as a sharing of information so that we can come to a better conclusion on something. And there's been plenty of occasions where I gave you information that allowed you to come to a better conclusion.
Yep.
So that biggest problem here is that the vast majority of reporters in this room refuse to look at the objective truth and even refuse to talk to the polite guy asking them to acknowledge the objective proof. And then one of them even coming up with excuses as to why they can't process that objective truth.
Right. You can tell that she can tell.
Right.
Like that's the truth. But she's trying to find ways to make it okay that she's not, agreeing.
Yeah. And someone, there was one of the times like, well, they're just misinformed. Like, no, they're not. She made it very clear that she is well informed, but she just refuses to accept the new information. That's crazy. So, imagine if you had a computer, right? Let's say AI, and you're teaching it new stuff. The Popcast is not Jamie and Knox. It's actually Brian and Shane. Imagine if I did that. I'm teaching the AI who the Popcast brothers are, and it kept saying, no, it's Jamie and Knox.
I would love AI if they could do that.
And, well, our AI doesn't. But imagine if it was like, you know what? No, sir, it's not. I'm sorry. What? No, it's not. It's not actually. It's Jamie Knox. Well, no, it's Brian and Shane Montgomery. No, it's actually Jamie Knox. Like I would pick my computer up and throw it out the fucking window.
Well, that's what it makes you want to do sometimes when you listen to these
If
people.
it couldn't accept new information, like I don't understand the concept.
But because if you accept that new information, you might lose later. Like if I acknowledge something now, will that cause me to lose later? And that's part of the problem. These people are afraid to raise their hand because that might be used against them later to get Trump elected. And that's unacceptable.
And here we are.
And that's the problem.
And you're completely right. So this division is actually so much more, it's so much bigger than the election. Okay?
It is.
Because something that AI George Carlin said actually made sense. A lot of it didn't. But part of it did. And something that he said made a lot of sense. He grew up in a world, George Carlin, not the AI, but when he was a boy, there were multiple classes of people. There was rich people, upper class, upper middle class, working class, poverty class, different class of people. And if you worked hard and you were determined enough and you had a little bit of skill, you can jump classes a little bit throughout your life. And maybe set your kids up to jump classes throughout their life and so on and so forth until your bloodline is finally sitting solid in the upper class versus, the poverty class that majority of us come from. That is not the case anymore. Now, you basically have three kinds of people. You have the rich people, the working class, and the FUCK'd.
I thought the working class were the FUC.
No, because the working class is just making enough to keep their heads above water so they don't drown. But then there's a class of people who haven't realized yet that they can't get where they need to be to survive anymore. And if we're at this place now where the divide is so large, and part of that divide is because of collusion, and I'm going to say collusion with the media, with the uniparty, that's allowed this disinformation campaign to break up families, to completely change the definition of words, to completely take the teeth out of anything masculine, take the softness out of anything feminine, and drag our country into a place where the power solely belongs to the people at the top. And the whole time that's happening, we're fighting each other because one of us is red and one of us is blue. They have to continually keep us distracted and fighting, or we might start paying attention that we're fucked. Excuse my French. Point, yeah. That's what's happening. So, well, and what I noticed was, and I'm listening now. Philip DeFranco, he's been on YouTube for a long time. I've been listening to Philip DeFranco since YouTube existed, for a very, very long time. Since he was in clearly what was a bedroom with a camcorder. Okay, I've been listening to this, silly guy with a quick tongue and fast editing for a long time, because I think I always believed that at the very least Philip DeFranco was giving his real opinions, right? He would tell you what happened, and then he would give his opinions behind it. He would never tell you what to believe. He'd say, this is what happened, this is what I think about it, moving on. What happened over the last few years is his entire demeanor, and I think it comes with success, has changed. So we always believe that it's the mainstream media, the lamestream, whatever you want to call it. The big, media reporters, the ones that have been brainwashed from the top down, owned by like 3 effing companies. They're the ones that are feeding this divisive misinformation, never following up on their stories when they turn out to be completely false. I've always believed that. I've always believed regular traders like us, and there's a few bad apples, but the majority of us are just trying to, give our honest opinions. And then I'm listening to Philip DeFranco 2 days ago, and he starts talking about one of the judges being swatted. One of the judges that are dealing with the Trump being on the ballot thing in one of these multiple states. A whole nother story. The fact that they're trying to use the insurrection to remove Trump from ballots is as silly as it is malicious. It's so ridiculous that that's even an option. They're using an amendment that doesn't even apply to any of his charges. None of it makes any sense, but they're doing it anyways because they believe they're righteous, or at least they're brainwashed enough not to give a fuck. Now, he's talking
they're
about
brainwashed, 100%.
Right. So right. Thank you. So he's talking about them being swatted, and he starts literally insulting the other half of the country that don't agree with him. And he goes, they're trying to take a traitor, and then he speaks with his own words, and he says, they're trying to take a traitor off the ballot that enabled an insurrection. And you're mad that the insurrectionists are serving their time in jail, that they're being punished for their crimes? They tried to take over the country. And I'm like, what the fuck just happened? Where is Philip DeFranco? Have you cloned him?
No, he believes what he's being told. I mean, that's the sad part about it is, when you believe something, you just kind of run with it, and that's the sad part about it.
But we had that conversation, bro. If he believed that 2 years ago, 3 years ago, when it happened, I get it. I mean,
he did, and then it just kept morphing. That's the thing, is he did believe it 2 or 3 years ago. Like, he believed that Trump did what he did. And we're not picking sides here 100%. We're just picking the side of reason and truth.
Right.
And so Trump, he obviously didn't do anything he thought he was being cheated. Trump did, and he wanted to stay in office. So he wasn't going to stop a bunch of people from going down, and he might even encourage him to go down there.
No, that's not true though. He within like 18 minutes of them showing up, he told them to be peaceful with their protesting.
But he also encouraged them to go.
Well, yes, but it was after a year of BLM riots. Hey, I'm sorry. One side's allowed to protest and riot. One side's not allowed to protest. Pick a lane, dude.
Let me tell you something. Okay. you can go back to there's many elections that were tight like Trump's, and there's a lot of things you can say about people being stolen or cheated or whatever.
Rigged, whatever.
There was a hanging Chad problem when Bush and that idiot
Gore
was facing off.
The inconvenient truth that I made everything up.
and Gore lost when perhaps maybe shouldn't have. And
we lost
what happens? Is that what happens when I start talking about
you
shit?
start talking about Gore? It's not me. It's your Elgato. Picture Elgato.
Do you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes. Can you hear me?
I'm not letting it take me out, dude.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Well,
can everybody else hear me?
Yes, everyone can hear you. You fix that, but keep talking. Finish your thought.
I've got an important thought here.
Go.
So I should keep talking?
Yeah, I'm sure it'll fix itself.
You don't know my computer, man. The whole point is that Gore,
who invented the internet,
right? Gore said, "Okay, well, this is our system," and I lost. Right? That was it.
Right.
Whatever the powers that be and the people who decide who's getting elected, I lost. And the same thing happened to Trump. Whether or not Biden got elected properly, Trump lost. Okay. Whatever happened. And there was not a whole bunch of shit he could do about it. And I think that was part of, and there's a bunch of people out there, whether you're on the left or the right, there's crazy people on both sides.
100%. Yeah.
And those people went down to the Capitol and bad shit ended up happening. So I'm not saying that
100%. Was it insurrection?
No, there was no insurrection.
But we have information now after 3 years to know what happened. It's not like it happened 2 days ago. Like, we don't need to be reactionary. We can actually look at the information and see, of course it wasn't insurrection.
Right. But they've already convinced themselves it is. And so now every bit of information that Philip DeFranco takes in feeds his own belief system.
Right.
So that's what happens. So there's a really great, and I don't want to change the subject, but there's a really great video that was put out by another conspiracy theorist that the government hates, Russell Brand. And there was a comment in his last video he did. He was doing the whole January 6th thing.
Right.
And the person says, remember, if you enter a public building without authorization, you're committing a crime. But if you enter the country without authorization, you are a poor migrant who needs to be protected and taken care of.
I'm going to show that right now. I'm going to show that and you fix your camera, okay?
I'll try. I don't know.
Okay. Check it out, you guys.
God, I promised myself I would finish this video. I can't get through it.
An important note when it comes to our prosecutions about those who remained outside the building. We have used our prosecutorial discretion to primarily focus on those who entered the building or those who engaged in violent or corrupt conduct on Capitol grounds.
Like this piece of violent conduct pointed out by Norm Macdonald.
So, the funniest thing about that, by the way, is that, so there's like 1,400 people being held in jail for trespassing. It's unbelievable.
I mean, I don't know. Listen, I haven't watched all the videos. I'm just not that interested in it. I think that what the people did on January 6th is, I don't know.
Oh, it's foolish. It was 100% foolish, dangerous. I mean, they shouldn't have, like, a bunch of people went to the Capitol and wilded out. Now, they didn't start wild, right? But it got wild because a bunch of people got put in the Capitol. They started arguing with the dickhead cops. They picked up podiums. They were live streaming on Twitch and just acting like fools. I mean, like, that's what happened. Right? That's what 100% happened. But it's funny how the worst charge they can get on 99% of these people is a trespassing charge. Yet, out of the 1,400 people arrested, 500 of them has still not been charged with anything. They're just sitting in jail for 3 years.
Right. So I think what Brian's trying to get to is the whole gaslighting thing. So, for example, you've got those people who've been arrested, but you have a whole bunch of people who, during the BLM riots and different riots that happened during that time frame, who pulled down statues, destroyed government infrastructure, destroyed police stations, and none of those people, it was like, it's okay because they're going through something. Well, guess what? The people who thought Trump was not being elected properly were going through something.
Yes, and let's superimpose that real quick, okay?
And you have to give everybody, it has to be fair. Like, if you're not going to punish these people for what they did, you sure as hell shouldn't punish those people,
right?
Or punish them all. But make
or
sure it's
punish
the
them all.
same.
Yeah. The fact that they're still and he even goes on in that article, that interview, to say they're still looking for 60 to 80 people that have evaded arrest. You're like, why are we still? First off, okay, superimpose these numbers. Superimpose numbers. A little over 2,000 people entered the Capitol. Out of 2,000 people, I'm sorry, it wasn't 1,400. 1,200 people were arrested and charged. More than 500 of them are still awaiting their sentence, which means there's 500 people that have not gotten sentenced yet.
So almost every person who just went to the Capitol protest is being arrested?
Yes, out of 2,000 people, out of a little over 2,000 people, 1,200 people were arrested and charged, and a little over 500 of those people are still waiting their sentence for trespassing in 3 years. Now, that's 70% of the people that entered the Capitol building were arrested and charged, and 500 of those 70% are still waiting for a sentence. They have not even started their sentence yet. Meanwhile, look at the BLM riots. And just for stats real quick.
Well, and on top of that, before you mention the BLM riots, I don't think any of those people would have entered the building had they not been let in.
No, yeah. Had they not been let in, I
think they would have just protested outside.
They were protesting outside. They were invited in, which is a whole nother thing. So, one person did die in the Capitol riots, and it was Alicia Babbitt, one of the rioters. She died trying to climb through a broken window when they were barricading the doors. Now, superimpose that against the BLM riots. One riot, 2,000 people. The BLM riots were 600 riots, 36 dead, over 1,000 people injured, over $8 billion in damages, and over 15 million people participated in the riots. Guess how many people were arrested out of those 15 million people?
Well, if they were immediately let go.
Right, but 14,000 people arrested. Yeah. So you're talking about less than 1%. Percentage-wise, less than 1% were actually.
And here's the way I look at it, okay, is like if you did something wrong, whether it was on January 6th or during 100%. The BLM riots, you need to be in jail.
100%.
Like if you fucking did something wrong, if you went into the Capitol and started grabbing podiums and throwing shit around, then you should go to jail, period. If you want to peacefully protest, that's the way it should be.
Right.
And for all those BLM people who peacefully, and by the way, not every BLM person was a rioter.
That's 100%
there was
true.
A lot of peaceful people doing shit. There's just some bad people in every group. So, but the problem is they're taking one side and they're completely villainizing it because that's what the media has control over. They can do that.
They downplay BLM,
right,
and they super hype up the other one to the point where there's literally a task force still working on it for the last 3 years straight. Everything is constantly insurrection. It's nonstop.
The problem with insurrection is, did anybody in that building actually try to take control of the government?
No.
Or did people go in and act like stupid idiots?
They went in and act like idiots, which is wrong.
Did anybody go in?
You shouldn't have done that.
Were there weapons? Did people take assault weapons into the building and start taking people at gunpoint?
There was a pepper spray incident where. Let's be honest.
What I'm saying,
4 or 5 cops got pepper sprayed.
Were assault rifles taken into so that they could reclaim the government, so that they could place Trump as
in fact,
emperor
they
of the country?
They all neatly filed into the Capitol,
right?
Going through the metal detector.
Most of them.
They stayed between the ropes. They even went through the metal detectors on the way in.
The 10 idiots who went in there to cause trouble fucked the other 50 that followed him into the damn building.
They really did, man.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
not funny.
Like those poor people who went in there thinking, I'm demonstrating today. Yeah, they are fucked, because there's no way that, unless Trump does get elected and decides he's gonna let everybody off the hook.
He did say that if he's elected, he will pardon he called them hostages, which that's a strong word.
But if they did something wrong, they're not a hostage.
They're not. But what's the harshest sentence for trespassing, Shane?
I fucking don't know.
I do. I know.
I can't go home and don't do it again.
No, the harshest sentence for trespassing, if you're a multiple offender, is 14 months. In California, I'm not sure about Washington.
If you trespass multiple times, normally they'll give you the worst sentence, which is 14 months. You know what happens if you trespass onto a military base? They take you and put you back outside,
right,
and say, "Go the fuck home."
Yeah. I'm going to see what the worst sentence for DC is.
Well, anyways, we should move on from this because we're getting long here. And then we have some super chats and we have some other things. And people have called us on our Star Trek stuff, so we've got to do that. And we're already 2 hours in.
I'm sorry. The maximum sentence for trespassing in DC is 1 year in jail and fines. So a lot of those people are already over their 1 year maximum sentence, which is probably why a lot of them haven't been charged yet. All right. Yeah. So like the whole point of that is that the gaslighting of the American people is to keep us divided. Because if we actually start thinking as one and paying attention, I do believe wholeheartedly that they will lose control and then they'll lose profit.
You know, I love what you said there, but here's the thing. You say this, what they're trying to do. Vivek says what they're trying to do. Everybody says what they're trying to do. Who is there? Who is it?
I don't know.
Right. That's what we need to do. We need to find out who's doing it, and we need to bring those people down.
There's probably like maybe 150 people at the top. I would
can't
say
be that. It's got to be
something with BlackRock, some kind of a couple politicians. Like there's not very many people at the top, but they're all seeing eye, and I couldn't possibly tell you.
I think it's people running the news agencies, tied into the newspapers. I think there's. I don't even think it's elected people, to be honest with you.
No, I don't think it is either. I think it's corporate people. I think it's corporations. Okay. So we aren't going to talk about the Star Trek thing. Let's talk about that.
Well, let's go through our super chats.
Oh, super chats. I apologize. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm like really fired up right now about this.
Yeah, Brian, before even the show started, he was like, I'm fired up today. I'm like, yes.
Bro, I'm just doing some basic research. I did not expect those numbers to be so lopsided. I was like, this has to be wrong. It made me more mad. Normally, when you look up facts, you're like, oh, it's not as bad as I thought it was. This time I was like, oh my God. I was literally stunned. I was stunned, bro. I thought like Google was giving me bad information.
Rec thoughts for $5. You need to hear Brandon Straka explain how he went through physical pain to change his thinking regarding the lies about Trump. I will definitely look into that. I do believe, Rec, and thank you for the $5. I do believe that people are brainwashed. I mean, it's proof. We know people can be brainwashed. They can be brainwashed when someone kidnaps them. Someone can be brainwashed. Your feelings about somebody or something or a situation, can really impact your belief system to the point of you not wanting it to change no matter what. And I always thought
when I was younger, I thought brainwash was like one of those like terms you would just tell people when they disagreed with you. Like I didn't think it was an actual possibility.
Yeah. It sort of is. I mean, so, for example, and it's not just on the side anti-Trump, but it's also the people who follow Trump. There's an element of brainwashing that I feel like when I watch some of his things, when the people are just like ridiculous, like they would wash his feet and they think he's Jesus. And you can love somebody, but at some point, everybody has flaws.
I mean, I remember making fun of the build the wall thing, and now I'm thinking, damn, we should have built the wall.
Well, because of what's happened,
right?
Because they just because nobody's stopping it.
Yeah, I didn't think that they would just wholesale allow like 11 million people just walk into the country. It seems like I feel like we really should have had a wall. Shit,
future voters, bro, future voters.
Jeez.
So, anyways, thank you for that, Rec. I will definitely look at that because I don't feel like. I could say I don't feel like it. I have not been brainwashed. So because I'm very careful about everything that I watch and get into. I'm like, why do I like that? And then I'm asking myself this question, like, why do I like this?
Yeah.
Is there something?
Yeah.
Happening?
You gotta fact check your favorite information. And sometimes you'll be like, that I feel very strongly about that too. And you're like, wait a minute, let me just make sure what he said was correct.
Right. What do I? Yeah. So I'm doing a lot.
Shit.
Yeah. And
never mind.
There are times like when Trump first started running, I remember I was so like, yeah, I love hearing somebody talk shit about the government.
I also love The Apprentice. So I was really on board with that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think there was like initially some, but then as time went on, you start to realize, well, the guy has flaws. And if you don't realize that, then you're not doing yourself any good either.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's funny. I remember, I had like 5,500 followers on Facebook back then, like a lot, because the old Counter-Strike days, the old pro esports days. And I remember when he first announced, and I did some research, and I'm looking at his speech and all that, and I'm seeing people freak out, and I'm seeing like the board light up, like, for lack of a better word, like the social media board light up every time he spoke. Literally like a few days from the announcements, I typed in Facebook like, Trump's going to win the election. And people were like all mad at me and stuff. I'm like, your reaction is actually making me believe more that he's going to win the election. And every couple of days I would post, and people would lose it every single time. I lost about 2,000 friends and followers that just left my account because for the simple fact that I was adamant that Trump would win.
Yeah.
And one reason why he would win was not just because of his like charisma or charm or whatever, but because of the reaction to it, whether it negative or positive, he was always on top of the news. And that's what wins. And everyone hated Hillary.
Well, and the problem is that even though we liked what he was saying because he was saying what we were all thinking, the problem was he opened up the can. He opened up Pandora's box for a lack of civility. Like he always compares himself to Reagan, but the problem is he's nothing like Reagan. There's truth. Hey, look, this person's a piece of shit. And we can think it, and there's maybe a polite way to address it. But when you actually say, you're a piece of shit, it just allows other people to say, well, you're a piece of shit. And then where do you go from there? Well, you're a giant turd. Well, okay, screw you. I'm going to get a knife. Well, I'm going to go get a gun. It just elevates itself to this point where, when you lose any sort of like reasonable social discourse, what it did was when he popped open the cork and everybody who was a conservative or on the right was like, woo, celebrating, cheering or whatever, like, hey, somebody's, or, libertarians or whatever. It allowed the other side then to also do the exact same thing.
Right.
And once you do that, now you've got a war.
Yeah. Now you have like two sides that both think that they're the righteous side and they're willing to die for their cause. A lot of them are.
Yeah.
Vivek, and I don't think he's ready to be a president. He's way too young.
No, not at all.
But he does have the ability to say the same things, but in a way that doesn't make him look like an asshole,
Well, he does. He also, what got him in trouble was that he was being an asshole on stage with Nikki Haley.
with the other candidates, but he doesn't do that. He doesn't do that with like reporters and stuff. I found it interesting.
If he had just calmly I know he was trying to get attention, but if he had gotten to the point of what he was doing, maybe he would have lasted longer. But he's essentially a Trump acolyte, so there's no way he can do anything with Trump around anyway.
Yeah, so. I can't wait to see. If we're still around, what happens to him in like 15 years?
I'm sure he'll be around for sure.
I'd say if we're still around, I don't even know. Yeah, Ervil Nation. Thank you, PJ. Thanks, says PJ. We need AI to come up with a third Popcast brother and have him interact with you.
Can you imagine what a third brother would be like for us?
I don't know.
Be scary.
It's funny. We were originally going to have them like randomly be able to pop up when super chats came up, but every time I did, like my entire computer would freak out, so we stopped doing that.
That'd be a good idea, having the Shane 3.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, maybe in the future. Thanks, PJ.
Thank you, PJ. I appreciate it, brother. Justin Baker for $4.99. Hey, Justin. Have I seen his name before?
I don't think so.
Oh, well, welcome to the party if you're new here, bro. He said, speaking of fake news, is it true that Toby Haynes is directing a new Star Trek movie? Yeah, okay, we're going to talk about that right now.
There we go. There's the transition.
That's the transition. Okay, well, one more super chat here. Michael Nemo, $5. Thank you, brother. He says, check out the vid I linked on Discord. Video interview of a diversity trainer speaking out against DEI. Truly fascinating. I will check. I can't check it out now because I can't activate Discord while we're streaming, but I will check it out afterwards. Thank you, sir.
Awesome.
All right. Here we go. We're talking about Star Trek, man, and there is a new Star Trek. Hold on. There's a new announcement. Sorry, I'm trying to retitle what I just said. Not really for a clip. Just I want to say this correctly.
All right, got it.
There's a new announcement for a new Star Trek movie, aka Star Trek 4. I don't want to say a new movie because we've gotten this announcement how many times now?
Many times.
Right. So I just want to be clear. I don't want to look back 3 years from now and have to correct myself because I would, unlike some of these other liberals.
What's interesting is that the Chris Pine Star Trek 4, according to reports, and Deadline has put out as of 2 days ago that there is a new Star Trek movie. According to the sources here, the Star Trek 4 movie with Chris Pine is still go. It's still going to be made. This is actually a different Star Trek movie.
So they're still making Star Trek 4 with Chris Pine, and they're also announcing another Star Trek movie.
Another Star Trek movie, which, get this, takes place decades before when Kirk was about 20 years old. Decades before the 2009 Star Trek movie.
Why the F? What do we... Is it in the same universe?
I guess. I mean, I would assume because they're not saying it's not. And, if you ask anybody making Star Trek today, they'll tell you everything's in the same universe. But yeah, so
technically, because the universe has 3 universes, we already made that video, guys. Okay.
Yeah. Well, let's go through this and.
But how does that even make sense? And why?
Okay,
we can go through it and I'll ask.
All right, let's do the nose, and we'll talk about it.
Go ahead.
So, yeah. Okay. So sources tell Deadline that while plot details are being kept under wraps, the project is an origin story that takes place decades before the 2009 Star Trek film that rebooted the franchise. Insiders add that the final chapter in the main series, Star Trek 4, remains in active development. So they're still planning to do that, but they're somehow going to start a new movie series that takes us back several decades.
That's like, when your kids are like, they don't want to eat their vegetables or whatever, and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, I'll get to that, but let me finish this first." Or I'm gonna do that too. I'm gonna do that too. I'm gonna do that chore too, Dad. But you know what, man? Hey, how about we just get that done first and we move on?
The interesting part, good point. I mean, I don't know why kids do that, and I don't know why Star Trek. I don't know why Paramount continues to put out saying they're going to do movies they never do. So I'll believe that this is going to happen when it actually gets into production. Until then, I'm not reporting it as fact, other than the fact that they say they're talking about it. But so what's interesting is, the Star Trek universe with Andor's Toby Haynes tapped to direct, and Seth Grahame-Smith writing. So what's interesting is if you watched Andor and you like Andor, then you're looking at perhaps something that is a little more gritty, right?
Yeah.
If you're getting something like that.
Yeah, and I hated that about Andor. Wasn't a fan.
It didn't have the Star Wars feel to it.
Dude, I don't know. Why did it take so long for him to do everything? Do they really need to show us the guy walking down the hallway for 3.5 minutes straight? It was like they needed. It was almost like the Foley artists at Disney were like, you know what? Give us a movie or a show where we can really get our hands wet on making the best Foley sounds. Because everything they did took so long. It was so drawn out, dude. You could have compressed, basically, someone, I think Katie said this, it was every section was 3 episodes. You could have taken every 3 episodes and shrinking down to 1 episode easily. Everything was so drawn out and dragged out. It was incredibly bad paced. It was so boring, and the pacing was all over the place. It was so hard to watch.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'll just take the first comment from this article that basically said, well, it's actually the most recent comment from this article. It says they say now that this one's going to be a prequel to 2009 Star Trek. So what's the effing point besides giving J.J. Abrams another payday? Can't we just move forward to get more nerdy? What came before 2009 is any more timeline break, or is before any timeline break. So it just should be Enterprise. So really, you have Enterprise, and if you look in the actual Star Trek timeline, the stuff we have, you have TOS, and before TOS, you got Enterprise, right? So this would be 30 or 40 years before TOS, which means the only character alive at this time that we know of is Spock. Spock would be very young.
It should be, so he'd be really young.
Yeah. So my guess is, and I don't know if this is true and they're going to do this. I don't believe that they would want to reboot Spock again. Like we have so many iterations of Spock now, that would be weird. So it's probably going to be.
He wouldn't be old enough to be a Starfleet member, though. Isn't that like?
No, he wouldn't. No, he wouldn't be in Starfleet.
40 years before 2S, that would like. He'd be like
he's
a
70.
child.
No, he's 70 when he's on part of Kirk's crew.
Okay.
So he'd be 30, but he'd probably still be a part of the Vulcan Science Academy or going through that whole thing. But the whole point is I don't even know if they would do that. It sounds to me like if they were really going to do this, that it would be more along the lines of something totally new where you don't have to pay, famous actors. You can basically start from scratch in an era where we don't have a ton of information about Star Trek. So you can kind of get away with doing almost anything you want to do if they're going to do it. But as is pointed out in the chat, there are other YouTube channels that have mentioned this, and there's some truth to this, potential truth to this, that Paramount, because they are putting out a lot of information about all these new projects that they're doing, including Top Gun 3, which I can tell you, surprised me that they said they're putting out Top Gun 3, because as a guy who was in the Navy and knows how hard it is for a movie company to get access to the assets, aircraft carriers, planes, not an easy thing to do. Mm-hmm. Like there's a reason why, you got Top Gun and 30 years later, you got Top Gun Maverick. It's fucking hard to make movies where the Navy's all in like that. The fact that they say they're going to already pump out another one, it's like, okay, interesting. Tom Cruise has this deal with Warner Brothers. Right, he just got this huge deal with Warner Brothers. Now we're talking about him making now we're talking about him making more Paramount stuff, and now Paramount's talking more Star Trek. So there is maybe some truth to the fact that they're trying to pump up.
They're trying to pad the books,
make it look like, look, we got all this shit going on.
Right. So if they are in talks with Max to buy Paramount, then they need to,
or anybody,
or anyone. But remember, we heard that a couple weeks ago that Max was like, might be in talks to buy Paramount.
Yeah.
Then they need to look as valuable as possible when they're negotiating.
And this costs them nothing. Costs them nothing to make announcements. Costs them nothing to apply names to things, because nobody's done any work, nothing. It's just blah, 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 blah.
So, I'm gonna do here. Someone in the chat said to do this, and I think this is fitting.
I don't believe you. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't make any sense why they would honestly do this. Why would they pick this time frame? I mean, why would you not make the Chris Pine movie and then just make the one after that? Why would you go back here? So it all feels very false to me. It feels very kind of made up. The whole Maverick thing, Maverick 3. I mean, listen, if they make Maverick 3, it's not going to make $1 billion like the Maverick 2 movie made, Top Gun 2.
Right.
It's not, because the reason that movie made $1 billion is because the movie 30 years before that was like really popular and a movie that's like iconic, they finally made a sequel to, and everybody wanted to see what the hell happened to Maverick.
Right.
But now we know what happened to Maverick. And while it probably wouldn't lose money to go see a third one, and I'd go see a third movie with Tom Cruise in it,
but to be fair,
$1 billion.
You watch almost every movie.
Well, okay, I would want to go see the movie with Tom Cruise. I do go see, yes, you're right, but not because I want to see them all. Like, trust me, I did not want to go to the movies last night. But anyways. So I just think that there's the likeliness of this being a lot of hot air. And the reality is no YouTuber is going to know this, honestly.
No.
This is all guesswork. It very well could be something that they're planning to do. I find it very implausible that Paramount will actually get purchased by somebody. Paramount has a very, very long history. They are in financial trouble, but not the same type of financial trouble that MGM was in. MGM was in much more difficult trouble, and they hung on for a lot longer before they got sold. So I still think you're going to see a lot of stretching out of what Paramount does for some time before they potentially partner with somebody, which is more likely what I think will happen.
Right. All right. Well, that's it. That's all we got. And we do know people in that camp, and they got nothing. So this is probably just this is probably hot air. But we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna close up here. And we're going to the member section. The good news is.
Oh, did you get the super chat from Michael?
Yeah, I got it too queued up. The good news is, my friends, if you are a member of the Popcast, the Pop Culture Unleashed, then you don't even gotta do anything anymore. I actually figured out how to handshake to our own channel.
Nice.
And when this video ends, it should just immediately go to that stream, and I'm gonna be able to immediately start it. And it took me a long time to figure that out, so I hope it's helpful.
Good job, bro.
And if you are part of the Popcast one, we've been streaming the whole time there. We stream the entire thing on the Popcast channel.
And if you're not a member of this show and you want to come hang out with us for a little longer, we're going to keep going and we're going to chit chat about the stuff we talked about and about other things that you guys want to talk about. Click the join button down here and it'll direct you to the stream as well.
Yeah. And, I couldn't say it better. I hope you can come hang out. We always hang out at least another hour afterwards, and it's always a good time. Speaking of, we have a super chat from Michael Nemo. He says, I think as far as Andor feeling drawn out, I think they greenlit a number of episodes before they had a solid story written. First off, thank you, Michael. Secondly, that's a very good theory. I think because they really stretched out every act. They stretched out to the extreme.
They did, but it was all worth it. I think Andor was totally worth it. Just getting the prison sequence.
That was cool with Andy Serkis.
Totally worth the whole series. Just getting Andy Serkis and the prison sequence because I thought it was really unique. Seeing the inner workings of how Star Wars, seeing how that might work in the Empire. I loved it. I absolutely loved that stuff.
All right, fair enough. That was a good scene, but that wasn't worth the rest of my time. By the way, have you watched Kenobi yet?
I haven't been able to. I'm sorry, brother, but I got it here in front of me.
That's cool. If you don't like it, then from now on, just continually tell me you haven't been able to see it yet. Don't tell me the truth. I'm kidding.
Well,
I'm kidding.
The thing is I'm gonna love it because you got rid of Reva, right?
No.
Oh damn.
No. I could not get rid of Reva.
Oh, I gotta watch Reva.
Okay. I'm sorry. She's in too much of that movie.
I got it.
But,
I understand.
But I limited her involvement as much as possible.
Oh, by the way, Owen from the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, I believe he is in The Boys in the Boat.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to go over there. Listen, I want you guys to know, I want to leave with a closing note here. I think that
we haven't said enough today already.
We always leave like so unceremoniously, like all right, bye. But I have this new thing I'm going to do here. I want to leave, and you could do it next week if you want, Shane. Whatever you want to do. But I want to leave you inspired.
Oh, I like that.
I want
hope. I want to leave you with hope.
I want to leave you inspired. We talked about a lot of hard stuff today, and I don't want you to leave feeling black-pilled. I want you to feel, I want you to know that there's hope. So here's my closing. Just like Shane said, I don't agree with anything that happened. I don't think anyone should be rioting. I don't think anyone should get hurt. I don't agree with the Jan 6. I don't agree with the BLM. I think it was silly how we let the media gaslight us into believing a cop, killed an innocent man in cold blood that was just buying a pack of gum.
I'm getting more black-pilled, man. Okay.
All this stuff. I don't agree with that. I think we should have been better. But I understand it. I understand the BLM rioters and their pain. I understand the Jan 6 and feeling robbed, and I understand their pain. I don't just understand it, but I think Shay and I feel it. Like most of these people are just really tired of not being in charge of their lives, right?
Amen.
They're tired of being broke, tired of being sick, fat, tired of their efforts not being rewarded, right?
Yes.
I'm just so tired. All the time, I'm just tired of feeling pain, whether it's financial, physical, spiritual, whatever. I'm tired of feeling pain. And what makes it worse is I usually can alleviate that pain by watching a movie or a TV show, by rewarding my hard work with a distraction that will allow me to forget for a moment how fucking tired I am. And even then lately it sucks. Movies suck. TV shows suck. Everything just sort of sucks. So
the hope is not. Where's the hope?
Let me finish, right?
I'm sorry. I'm feeling more black pilled.
Let me finish. Everything sucks. I'm tired and everything sucks. I can't catch a break. We aren't rich enough to protect ourselves against predatory corporations. We aren't or corrupt politicians. We don't have the time or the skill sometimes to even fact check that what we're being told is a lie or true or not. We have no idea when we're being lied to, when we're being robbed, when someone's hands in our pocket, when we're sick, when we're not. We don't have time because all we're trying to do is keep our head above water to survive and keep our family from dying. That's literally what's happening every day. I'm so tired of failing all the time. Failing with shit I can't control. So I understand the BLM riots pain and January 6th. I understand a liberal's pain and a conservative's pain. I understand your pain because it's human pain. And I also fail. Shane fails. I think what really puts us in a camp together is that we are almost destined to continually fail at everything. Because we can't control the majority of our destinies. And we're just stuck in this fucking hamster wheel trying to make sure that we don't die of exhaustion before finally getting a chance to take a break and watch a good TV show. So I'm tired. I'm tired. I'm tired of being fucked. And I'm tired of failing. But then I realize something. In the middle of this black pill, I get this this little gleam of light. And I remember something that's so fucking important. We're still here.
Yeah. All right.
We've lost businesses, employees, friends.
Cockroaches.
We've been demonetized, not once or twice, a couple times. We've had, a fourth channel? We have had multiple businesses. We have failed over and over again. But motherfucker, we're still here.
You can't kill us.
You can't kill us, bitch. The one thing we have control over that no one can take away from us is our determination to survive. And this is the most inspiring thing I can think of when I was sitting there yesterday just fucking pissed that everything around me is always breaking, costing me. I don't have enough time, energy, money, talent, fucking anything. I don't have what I need. We're still here. We have an ability that other poor bastards don't have. We have the ability to survive. We are so determined to stand up with our middle finger in the face of the universe trying to put us in the ground that they can't kill us. They can't kill you, man. They can't kill us. We're still here. And if you're waking up tomorrow, then you're still here. And while I was considering this moment, I remembered a line from Community, one of the greatest TV shows in the last 10 years. Pierce Hawthorne, the most ridiculous character in the show, played by Chevy Chase. He said something that I will never forget because it was the most inspiring thing I have heard come out of Dan Harmon's mouth, because that was his words. And I'm going to play it for you right now. From the late great Pierce Hawthorne. All right, didn't work. Cool.